We be live.
Serving shaitan with a smile.
Perfect. Love that line every time. Never gonna get old. All right, guys. So, yeah, go on.
Oh no, I was just saying it. This is a great video. We've got a great video today. So
yes, we do, guys. This is like one. This is big. Major, major figures like Mohammed Hijab and Piers Morgan on a very big topic, which is currently the Israel versus Hamas war. So there's no, I think a lot of you people here kind of knew that we had to do this. Like, how could you not respond to react to this, right? Like our hands were tied. We had to watch this with you guys and figure out. Yeah, go on.
This may be the first video recording of an impossible event, right? Because we were told by Mohammed Hijab himself that this would not occur, that Piers Morgan was too afraid to speak to him face to face. So that alone, I think, is worth us reviewing it with y'all. It's impressive.
You know, as bad as this video is going to be, I really think it's a really good summary of all the worst takes of this whole Israel-Hamas, discussions that we're having. Like, I've never, because there's just so many tweets and videos and live streams and rooms, and people are just having the worst takes out there. And I'm like, I wish there was a place that I could just put these all together and just respond to them all at the same time. And when I was thinking that this video dropped, I was like, oh my God, thank you, Iblis. My prayers have been answered. They're all here and coming out of Mohammed Hijab's mouth.
Yes.
So this is great, guys. We don't have to do 20 shows for you guys. We'll just have to do one.
Right.
Because Mohammed Hijab is the representative of all the bad arguments you could ever make. And we're just going to take them all out here in one live stream.
Yeah, and we gotta say thank you. We gotta say thank you for doing that for us, cataloging all of the worst responses in one go. And doing it on a channel that is pretty much guaranteed to receive lots of views by people that have never engaged in what Susanna is calling almost unwatchable because of Hijab's behavior. And I completely agree. There are many viewers out there that have never had the let's call it a pleasure to witness Mohammed Hijab. Sure. There are other words I think aren't YouTube appropriate, but yeah, it's great. It was wonderful. I really enjoyed watching it personally, just for various reasons. I after I watched it, I hit up Armin and was like,
Cried?
"Oh man." Well, yeah, that. But like, first I wanted you to enjoy the experience that I had, man. So I sent it over and was like, "Man, you gotta see this. It's great." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm on it."
We have a good question in the live chat. So Angry Keyboard Warrior in the live chat saying, will you also cover the leftist coverage as well as Muslim? Well, we don't have to, because they are the same by a lot of them. Again, not all, okay? Because they seem to be the same takes. So, and that's saying a lot, right? Again, not all, okay? So-called leftists. But anyways, let's start watching the video.
Welcome back. Last week, I interviewed the Daily Wire's Ben Shapiro on the crisis in Israel. His powerful emotional analysis made headlines around the world. 5 million people have watched that interview so far, a measure of the enormous emotion and division this conflict has awoken. Well, among those viewers was Mohammed Hijab, a controversial pro-Palestine influencer with nearly 1 million YouTube subscribers of his own. Here's what he had to say about it.
Do you think Piers Morgan, on fair grounds, would try and speak to me about an issue like this? Or Ben Shapiro, when they know what I'm going to come with? Absolutely not.
Wouldn't do it.
Well, you've been proven wrong. You've been proven wrong.
I'm sure. Hang on, Armin. hang on. Let's be charitable. I'm positive that in the very first few seconds of Mohammed Hijab speaking, he will say something along the lines, as an alpha male strong man would just own up to the fact that he got it wrong, and he'd be like, hey, you know, I was wrong for calling you out like that. Thanks so much for having me on.
Sure.
I'm sure he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. It's gonna happen.
Sure, of course,
Okay.
of course.
Shapiro, when they know what I'm going to come with. Absolutely not. Don't pretend you don't know who I am. You've been watching my videos. You know what I'm about. Your silence is deafening, and your cowardice is apparent.
Cowardice.
Tough man. Very
Cowardice.
tough man. I am so big. I am so strong. Look at me strong man.
Mohammed Hijab joins me now. Mohammed, thank you very much for coming in.
Look how proud of himself he
I
is.
hadn't actually watched your videos. I have now. I've watched a few of them. I'm aware you've got a massive following. You've got nearly a million YouTube subscribers. You're an influential person, and you have a lot to say about this issue, obviously. So I thank you for coming in, but I'm not too cowardly to talk to you. I don't have a horse in this race. I think I've tried to straddle a divide of being fair-minded with all sides. I've had all voices on the show.
I commend you for that, actually, to be honest, for bringing...
Oh, look at like such a pussy when he's away. Like, oh, you coward, you filth, blah. And then when he's there, I commend you for that. Like, oh, thank you. Oh,
I think it's just a little bit later in the video where he really, you know, becomes Piers Morgan's bitch, in my opinion. I don't think it's exactly this moment, but I like that. I like that you're already calling that out, because I do think it's great to just see this in action, you know, live like this. But he's you know, he's proud of Piers for having on all sides. I'm sure the next thing he's going to say is that you know, he apologizes for making those accusations and he appreciates being on. I'm sure he's going to do that because he's already praised Piers. I'm sure it's going to happen, Armin. Just
sure.
Okay.
Don't be wrong, but do realize I did caveat that with on fair ground. So let's hope that this interview is conducted.
I intend to be completely fair.
Yeah, sure.
I promise you, because all I want to get to here is a real sense of what is going to happen. We can all look back at. We can all look back. Let me just. We can all look back.
Before that, Piers.
Yeah.
Sorry, if you want to say fair grounds, you introduced me as a Palestinian controversial.
I actually corrected myself.
Right. So
I said pro-Palestinian. I meant to say pro-Palestinian.
So why did the word controversial come into play?
I think you're controversial.
So are you?
Wait, are you? Mohammed Hijab, you are controversial. What the hell? Oh my God! The whole topic of every topic you talk about, we are controversial. Everybody that talks about these topics is going to be controversial. That's not an attack. It's not fair. Look at what he considers fair. It's not fair because he calls you controversial. I mean, you aim for controversial, Mohammed Hijab, and you know that. Oh my God, he's crying about why you're not fair to me. You're calling me controversial. Be fair to me. Oh my God, such a baby.
This is where I think Mohammed Hijab loses his alpha male card, and it just gets worse from here. Because I obviously was wrong. I was incorrect about my assessment that he would come on and apologize and make that clear and, you know, thank him for being on. No, he instead decided to take the opportunity to criticize how he was introduced on Piers Morgan's show. Like, a man who, by the way, once ripped his shirt off as he yelled outside of like the Chinese diplomat's office or something. Like, that individual had their feelings hurt about being called controversial. It's great. I love it. It's awesome. It gets better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
So is the ambassador. Why didn't you introduce her in that manner?
I'm happy to say that to many people, her views would be controversial.
So why didn't you introduce me as the Oxford graduate?
Do you want to be introduced as that?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, would you? Is that how you're? Okay, first of all, because he's the ambassador, you're a content creator, and your point, you make content that is controversial. That guy's an ambassador. You don't go like, oh, controversial.
Same level.
The whole
Armin.
point. Don't like the point. Because that's what your job is. That's what your content you make. That's the nature of the content you make. An ambassador. Oh my God, I don't understand. Okay, so he's like, why wouldn't you introduce me as an Oxford graduate? Who do you introduce? Like, why would you? Like, do you mention the degrees of everybody that you introduced? Like, such
Armin,
a weird.
are
No,
you suggesting that Mohammed Hijab and the ambassador to Israel or Palestine are not on the same level? Of course they are. Don't you know how important Mohammed Hijab is? He's just as important as those people. He went to Oxford.
I don't understand. His understanding of what's fair is so bizarre.
Controversial.
So why didn't you introduce me as the Oxford graduate?
Do you want to be introduced as that?
Yes.
By the way, so-called Islamic YouTuber who supposed to be like look how he sees himself. Okay, like not as a Muslim YouTuber, as an Oxford graduate, which is a Western institution. So I want Mohammed Hijab's fans and followers to notice this man with Islamic principles and priorities. What he sees as the main way that he wants to be introduced is based on the credentials and the reputation of this very, very, very Western institution, not the Muslim YouTuber that he is. Like you see that his
That's
value
a really good
judgment.
point. I didn't notice that. That's a really, really good point. Why wouldn't he put forth about spreading the dawah? Why wouldn't he talk about the Quran?
Because he understands that Western institutions are superior to Islamic ones. I think that's what he understands. That's why he wants to be introduced that way. Yeah.
So why didn't you introduce me as the Oxford graduate?
Do you want to be introduced as that?
Yes.
Okay. You're an Oxford graduate.
Go ahead.
Okay.
He's like, go ahead.
There it is. There it is. You see it? Did everybody see it? Did everybody see it? Did you see what happened there? How Piers Morgan just completely took him down. And really, at this point on, it kind of felt like the rest of the interview. Like it could go any way at all, but that right there was Piers Morgan completely blowing off Mohammed Hijab and just not at all giving a crap to what he had to say there. Like it was beautiful. Beautiful. Oh God.
Yeah, so he's completely he's like, you would never had me to come and have a discussion with me on a fair ground, and look, it's happening. He's like, look at this. Is actually, I know it pains you for me to say this, but Piers Morgan is playing it very well, right? Because he's defeating him. Like look how easy it is for me to demonstrate how wrong you are. I think Mohammed Hijab feels like he's being the strong guy here because like, oh, say my name, like
there's no
introduce
way.
me properly.
There's
introduce
no
me
way.
properly. He feels like he thinks like he's being the stronger man here, but by Piers Morgan, by basically trying to be fair to him, he's basically kind of destroying his point, destroying his confident, strong point that he had at the beginning. Yeah.
There's no way Hijab felt good after that interaction. There's no way, right? Is he just that unaware? Oh God. Okay. Let's see more.
That's good too.
No problem. You can be introduced as anything you like, frankly. It makes no difference to the debate. Let me ask you this. Where were you when you heard about what happened on October the 7th?
Oh,
I was at home.
By the way, I think another point needs to be made. Okay, look at what Mohammed Hijab cares about. Okay, we are talking about Israeli and Palestinian lives and whether everybody is doing the best that can be done to reduce casualties to a minimum. Okay, what Mohammed Hijab cares about the most is like, are you going to recognize who I am? Are you going to give me the respect that I deserve? Right? That is his priority. That's what he wants. That's what he wants the conversation to start with, which is amazing.
Yeah.
What was your reaction when you heard?
I was actually very sickened by it. And this is something I do want to put on the table because I think it's fair for people to know this. In our religion, we do not believe. Okay, as a Muslim, I am a Muslim, and I do not believe in the killing of any man, woman, or children.
Okay, now pause.
Non-combatant.
He's going to do another little bit of jujitsu here with his words, but what he started off that sentence with as a Muslim, we believe, then stopped and then made it a personal thing and said, I
Oh,
don't
whoa.
believe. He started to make a claim for Islam as a whole and then shifted it to say that it was about his personal view, which is important because that's massively different, because whatever Mohammed Hijab's personal view is, Islam absolutely commands you to slaughter non-believers. So I thought that was an important shift.
That was very clever. Actually, I didn't notice that. Let's
Yeah.
listen.
Check it again to see if I misheard him. But he started that sentence as Islam says, basically, and then finished it with my view is.
All right.
Know this. Okay? And this is something I do want to put on the table because I think it's fair for people to know this. In our religion, we do not believe. Okay, as a Muslim, I am a Muslim, and I do not believe in the killing of any man, woman, or children.
Boom.
Non-combatants.
Do you hear it?
Yeah, you're right.
As
you're right.
Muslims, we do not believe. I am a Muslim man. As a Muslim, I do not believe. He changed it purposefully because he knows exactly what he would get from his community if he said, Islam does not command us to kill people.
Odd. You're right. And by the way, let me actually show you. Let's see if that is true. Okay, so Islam, because he's talking about. Yeah, go on.
I was just gonna say there wouldn't be a verse or anything that you might have for us, Armin.
Well, that's the problem here. I do have.
Don't do this.
I do have something.
Man.
No, okay. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So there's two things here. Okay, first of all, you have to understand that a lot of Mohammed Hijab's fan base are people, a big portion of them, that support Hamas and the mass killing of Jewish and Israeli civilians in Israel. So I don't know if you understand. I think he does that. What he's saying is going to be very controversial among his community. Also, what he's saying that this is what happened is not Islamic, and this is not something that is acceptable in Islam, and he is relying on the ignorance of the audience. So let me just check what do you think the teaching is in Islam is about killing Jews? Do you think it will tell you that it agrees with it, or?
I feel like I've heard, and I could be mixing this up with something else, but I feel like there's something about like slaughter them until like the last days, and then like the rocks and the trees will give up Jewish people.
Yes, I think like that should be a song, the rocks and the trees or something. But yeah, that is something. There's something. Yeah. So okay, I know this is what you're talking about. Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Huh. What?
Yeah. Ooh. So this is Sahih Bukhari. Okay, so for people who don't understand what Sahih Bukhari is, it's a hadith and it's Sahih. But Sahih means that it's authentic. Like this is an absolute. This is something that Mohammed Hijab will not deny as something that is part of Islam. The fact that it has the word Sahih here means Mohammed Hijab believes in the authenticity of this hadith, and the vast majority of the Islamic world does. Okay, so the teaching here, this is Allah's messenger, meaning Muhammad. Muhammad says, the hour will not be established until you fight with the Jews. And the stone, so it's telling Muslims that at the end of days, you will fight with the Jews, right? And the stone behind which a Jew will be hiding will say, oh, Muslim, there's a Jew hiding behind me, so kill him. So there's other versions of this hadith. There's rocks and trees. So basically, there will come a day where the Jews will be hiding when Muslims are fighting the Jews and killing every single one of them. And the Jews are running away and hiding behind trees and rocks. This version has only rocks, right? And the trees and rocks will cry out. There will be a miracle. There will be an Islamic miracle where the trees and the rocks will cry out and they will call out to the Muslims and they will say, there's a Jew hiding behind me. Come kill it, right? So every single, according to Islamic teaching, and there's more hadiths exactly like this, right?
Ooh.
And a version of this hadith is in the founding documents of Hamas, right? So when Hamas believes in the killing of every single Jewish person in the world, this is the hadith that they cite in their founding documents, right? And again, Muhammad Hijab knows about this hadith. He knows about this hadith. He's knowledgeable to know. And he also knows that this is a fundamental part of Islamic teaching. This is Sahih hadith. This is not something that is contentious. This is not something that there's disagreement among all the ulama of Sunni Islam, whether or not this is part of Islam or not. This is completely part of Islam. This is Muhammad, the messenger of Allah, the last prophet of, the last prophet in the world, the prophet of Islam. This is what he said. So completely dishonest, completely lying here, and he knows that he's lying. Yeah.
Is there anything in the, like, let's just say somebody wants to even go so far as to say throw out the hadiths? Is there anything in the Quran? There's not like a verse or anything that has to do with.
Oh, there's tons. But the point is that we can't throw the hadiths because Muhammad Hijab believes in these hadiths, as do the vast majority of Muslims. So he,
yeah, that's bad for him.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I'm sure he'll correct it.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm an
That is
optimist.
not despite the religious teachings. That is because of the religious teachings. So, in terms of condemning Hamas and just jumping straight into it, I condemn not only Hamas but any other entity. Okay, wherein it's proven that this has been done, that the killing of combatants has been done. Therein, I condemn any party that does it. Any party that kills people or strikes at people, where it's more probable than not that it will hit a civilian target, I condemn them, and that's why I condemn the.
So he's doing both siding it. He's trying to say, well, I also condemn. Yeah. So these people cannot just condemn Hamas. They have to come out and say, I also condemn Israel, and they put them right next to each other as if they're the same thing. Yeah. But
I just want to be clear. It kind of sounds like what Muhammad Hijab is saying is that as a principle, he would condemn any entity that like kills non-combatants, civilians and stuff, right? Do you think that would apply to the past? Do you think there would be any examples in the past specifically that he might condemn?
Right. I think you're referring to the mass execution of Jewish people by Muhammad when he just committed genocide of the people.
That's what it was.
Banu Qurayza.
That's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Okay. So, no, and that's not fair, Elliot. No, that's not fair. You're being unfair,
I'm sorry.
Right?
I'm sorry. I want to be charitable. I want to be charitable. Help.
So Muhammad did not kill all the Jewish people of Banu Qurayza. There were 700 of them. No, he killed all the men. Okay, but he didn't kill the women and children. Gross. So that's good. He sold them to slavery and bought weapons with that.
Grosser.
So, but he didn't kill all the Jews. He only killed the men, and the women and children, he sold them as slaves and took that money to buy weapons with it. And the way to check if somebody was a child or not is that they pull down, again, I'm not making this up. This is Islamic teaching. I'm seriously not making this up. They pull down their pants of children to check if they have pubic hair or not. If they had pubic hair, they will cut off their head. And if they didn't, they will sell them as slaves. That's what Muhammad did. That's what he did to the Jews.
And our wonderful representative today on the Piers Morgan show, an impossible task because Piers, of course, is too cowardly. Muhammad Hijab condemns those actions.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Based on what he said.
Sure.
Based on what he said.
Yeah. Right.
Let's see.
Yeah.
That it will hit a civilian target, I condemn them. And that's why I condemn the IDF. Because when they strike, they know that it's more probably than not going to hit civilian targets. They know that the majority of civilians,
like Hamas,
or the majority of people that are going to be affected are civilians. We know.
Okay, so here's something that people don't understand, okay? it's not a war crime every time a civilian dies. It's a war crime when a civilian dies and you made the attack to kill civilians, right?
Yeah.
It's a war crime if you had other options to carry out an attack that was necessary that would have less civilian casualties. I went and checked the Geneva Conventions. These people haven't.
Mhm.
So when they talk about proportionality and stuff, the actual assessment is that, was the attack necessary? Was there a way to carry out this attack that will have lower civilian casualty? It doesn't say for it to be a war crime, as soon as you have civilian casualties, it's a war crime. It does understand that sometimes there is no way other than, unfortunately, doing something that is going to have civilian casualties.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's tragic. And that's horrible.
Mhm.
But unless there is another option, it's not a war crime.
Yeah.
And the people who made it so that there is no other option is Hamas. Because it's Hamas. Hamas attacked Israel, killed more than 1,000 civilians. Obviously, Israel has to respond and attack Hamas. Hamas has made it so that if you want to attack Hamas, civilians will die. So what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to not attack at all?
If I
ahead.
may, because you and I have been asking this question a little bit over the past week or so, and we haven't really gotten a great answer, except for our wonderful friend on screen right now. Last week, y'all, Mohammed Hijab called for a full-scale invasion of Gaza by the
Right.
IDF. And so I'm excited because now he's going to get a chance to express that opinion and
No, he's not
correct
gonna.
all of us that are so wrong in what we think is a better option with
Right.
less civilian casualties. So I'm sure he's going to do
Yeah.
it. I know he will. I know
See,
it.
Look how they're both citing it, right? When Hamas kills civilians, it's because they wanted to kill civilians.
Mhm.
When IDF kills civilians, it's because there are no other alternatives.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because Hamas made it impossible to do anything otherwise.
Yeah.
When Hamas is killing civilians, they're trying to maximize the number of civilians that they kill. When IDF is killing civilians, they're trying to minimize the number of civilians they kill.
Mhm.
That's a world of difference.
Yep. It really,
But they
really
don't understand.
intention
Yeah.
matters, people. It's not always the
Right.
most important, but it abso-freaking-lutely matters. So
Exactly.
I'm sure he'll explain.
that
Yeah.
from the various operations that have been conducted. We know that because now in Gaza, you find that there is a blockade, as you know, for 17 years, but also they're stopping them from
A blockade that is also maintained by Egypt and every other Arabic country that doesn't want people from Gaza because they know what a disaster that would be for their country. But you tend to only see the Israeli side because you're anti-Semitics, right?
Armin, Lebanon must be welcoming in people from Gaza. Would they welcome them in? Have they been?
Well,
I mean,
they
I know
did
it's
before
further
and it ruined
away.
their country.
Oh,
They did before, but they ruined their country.
Okay.
This is not anymore because it saw Lebanon paid a heavy price for accepting Palestinian refugees.
okay.
It made their entire country collapse. That's why no other country is doing that. But everybody is only saying that Israel doesn't do that.
But that kind of undermines the point, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sure he explains. I'm going to be optimistic.
is a blockade, as you know, for 17 years, but also they're stopping them from electricity, water, which is a war crime under Geneva 4 of the Geneva Convention.
First of all, water that they don't say that this is electricity and water that Israel was gifting to the Palestinians because Hamas itself which is responsible for providing these things, can't, because they suck at it, because they take the money that is supposed to be spent on resources and infrastructure for Palestinians, they spend it on missiles because they don't care, because Hamas doesn't care about Palestinians, they care about killing Jewish people, right? And because they have such a weak and pathetic government that doesn't take care of the people, Israel itself provides a lot of assistance to the Palestinians. And excuse me, that for 2 days they cut it off because they were, imagine if you are providing electricity and water to the people that just attacked you while you're trying to attack them. It obviously, I don't understand how stupid do you have to be to not understand that you are sending soldiers into Gaza, right? And you are trying to make sure. By the way, Israel is not the only provider of water and electricity to Gaza. There's also other sources. But just for 2 days, while they were trying to assess what the situation is, of course, you're not going to provide water and electricity to the people that just attacked you. I understand that there are going to be a lot of other people that are going to have miserable time, and that's a tragedy. But again, the other alternatives that we're looking at are just as terrible. It's horrible, but it's necessary. Like, imagine if and again, this is the water and electricity that is being gifted. Imagine if Iraq attacked Iran, right? And Iran, right after it, are continuing and gifting electricity and water to Iraq. It makes absolutely no sense. I know some people might need it in Iraq, but unfortunately, some decisions are very hard to make. And again, I don't want to accept everything that Israel does. I'm sure there are many miscalculations. And if there was a better way to do this, and they didn't, that's a fair criticism. But to just call it a war crime as if any response that you have to an attack, just because there's some hardship on the other time, you could describe it as a war crime, is because you don't have the very basic understanding of how a war crime is categorized and what are the metrics for you to evaluate whether something. These require, and also I'm sure Israel in an attack will do some war crimes, right? And that needs to be condemned for sure, right? Because no country goes into war and does everything perfectly. And we need to hold them responsible. We need to criticize them and hold them responsible in those rare cases where when they're committing war crime. But to assess whether it's a war crime or not, you have to have experts. You have to see whether there are better alternatives. You have to come out and see if there's any evidence of bad motivations. And all of this requires a lot of work. It's not as easy as like, oh, they cut the electricity, that's a war crime. It doesn't work like that. But they try to make it, they try to simplify it because they are tribal and they have an enemy in mind, and whatever the enemy does has to be purely evil. But yeah, go on.
No, I think that was great, and there were a couple of some comments. So, Gagin American wants to know: was it confirmed white phosphorus was used? Because I think that definitely is a war crime, right?
No.
No.
Okay, so it's kind of no. So actually, there's no international law that says white phosphorus is illegal to use. It's heavily recommended against in non-military areas, like for example, it's not looked down upon. So you have international law and you have human rights organizations, right? So human rights organizations really look down upon and pressure against militaries using white phosphorus in a city, for example, residential environment, right? They don't condemn it being used in a military, like outside of a residential area, right? So Israel was accused of using white phosphorus in Lebanon and in Gaza. Israeli military came out and says that we are not using it in Gaza. They didn't say anything about Lebanon, but they said we're not using it in Gaza. So the fact that they didn't deny using it in Lebanon maybe means that they are using it in Lebanon, which is not
Yeah, that wasn't a great response. That wasn't a great response, I think. Yeah.
No, it's a fair response, because even the human rights organizations don't say that it's wrong to use it in a non-residential area, right?
For military targets, yeah. Okay.
For military targets. But
okay.
the thing is that again, the standard. So make sure you know what you're saying. Again, a lot of. By the way, Red Cross doesn't even consider it to be not allowed to. So you have three different human rights organizations. You have Red Cross, you have Amnesty International, and you have Human Rights Watch. Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International say what you shouldn't be using white phosphorus in residential area. Red Cross doesn't actually go that far, right? But remember, all of these three institutions, which we care about and want to listen to and take seriously, they do not make laws for how war needs to be conducted. This is not the United Nations. This is not the Geneva Convention on what's a war crime. So within the legality of using white phosphorus, this is not a war crime. But again, it's looked down upon, but not a war crime. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no. I think that was a really good explanation. Yeah, and that's why I wanted to let you go and bring up some questions. I got one starred from someone, but let's do it later. I think it'll come up and be relevant later on as well in the video. So
okay.
Article 4 of the Geneva Convention. So this is something I'm.
Oh, wait. So,
but also they're stopping them from electricity, water, which is a war crime under Geneva 4 of the Geneva Convention, Protocol 4 of the Geneva Convention. So this is something I'm surprised you didn't actually mention to the ambassador. But
I did mention.
Again, he doesn't understand how the Geneva Convention works. He just throws it out and he just thinks that nobody will go check it, right? Again, when I read the Geneva Convention, it does allow a lot of exceptions. And the exceptions, when you read the exceptions and when some things are allowed, you notice that it's very complicated to be able to measure whether or not this falls under that exception or not, right? Which means that to figure out whether something is a war crime or not, it takes a lot of expert analysis, but which this person is not qualified for us to have. And yeah, and I'm not saying there's no war crimes. I'm saying I will wait. I don't trust Mohammed Hijab. I don't even trust myself, even though I went and read a lot of these rules to see if it applies or not. The only conclusion that I took out of it is that I'm not qualified to figure this out. I have to wait and see for somebody like that is an expert lawyer understands international laws, especially with the focus on Geneva Conventions, comes with an opinion, and I will just appeal to that kind of authority. That's what I would do. Yeah. And I will condemn it. Yeah.
To build on that, one very specific event that I heard about and hasn't gotten much coverage, I think. A Reuters journalist was killed by a rocket. That has already happened. That individual was killed and 6 other journalists were injured in that. I think anytime journalists are injured and killed, targeted in these types of that is absolutely a no-go line for me, right? And I have heard some calls for a full investigation. Currently cannot say who was the individuals who fired that rocket. There are some reports that it came from Israel. There are other reports that say otherwise. I'm waiting until the investigation, but I'm absolutely calling for that investigation 100% because absolute no-goes that do happen and have happened too much in every other conflict around the world. So we need to stand firm on those and we need to figure that out. Mohammed Hijab is not that person. He is not going to accomplish that for us. Also, I'm going to try to do this as much as I can throughout this video, y'all. I just want to point out when Hijab is just instantly proven wrong and looks less and less like the strong man he is. He just said Piers Morgan didn't even bring up the potential use of white phosphorus. And Piers instantly said, yes, I did. And he's going to explain. So I just want to point that out every time he looks like a bitch. Yeah. So anyway.
You didn't say it's a war crime.
Well, I think it's an arguable point whether it's a war crime.
Okay, let me ask you now.
It's not a war crime. Again, you don't even know what a war crime is. You could condemn it as something that Human Rights Watch, for example, has condemned. Okay. You could argue against it. You could be like, it's not moral. It's not like, look how he acts like he knows these things. And you're like, you didn't call it a war crime. Well, it's not a war crime. And he look at the level of authority he thinks he has and knowledge he thinks he has. Well, you didn't even check that is whether or not it's a war crime.
He went to Oxford.
I did
say-
mention.
No,
I did mention.
You didn't say it's a war.
that's it. Yeah, I can't. Apparently, that's good enough. Yeah.
Well, I think it's an arguable point whether it's a war crime.
Okay, let me ask you now. Then,
They are saying Israel at the moment. Israel is adamant
Sure,
they
sure.
are not breaching war crimes. Right? It will be determined.
But if
by-
we could,
well, it will be determined whether that's the case.
no, sorry.
What
That's,
is it?
That's
Mohammed,
incorrect.
well,
Piers,
Mohammed,
that's
let me
incorrect.
make a point to you back on that. I think surely we can agree that what happened on October the 7th was a war crime. I mean, when people are
yeah.
taking grandmothers and
Yeah.
executing them,
Yeah.
kidnapping young children, when they're killing babies in their cribs, we can agree that's war crime, right?
Okay, babies.
Can we?
Surely, of course, 100%.
Right.
But babies in the crib. Sorry, what's the evidence for that?
You don't
It's not
believe that happened?
Sorry, CNN,
Mm.
the White House,
Mm.
Sky News, which you work for, all say.
I don't work for Sky News.
Well, you're
I
thinking.
did work at CNN. I saw
Sure.
I saw one reporter who retracted it because she wasn't sure about the source.
It's
Then-
unconfirmed by the White House.
But then the Daily Telegraph and the Jerusalem Post and other sources then did publish pictures, which
CNN.
indisputably show babies have been killed.
Okay.
No, it showed
Real
one
quick.
baby.
So, whether or not this particular example is actually the case, okay, the larger point, I think, is pretty clear, right, man? Like, Piers is trying to say, you're against war crimes. Can you just strongly condemn these actions? And then we kind of have a discussion from there. And instead of doing that, we saw Mohammed Hijab pick one random example and say, give me all the proof you've got for it right now, Piers. That just makes him look weak. That just makes him look weak, because whether or not this particular thing is true, it clearly does not matter to the overall point that they're trying to discuss. So
That's a very clever pivot by Mohammed Hijab.
I mean, sure.
So he's being asked to condemn or to consider war crime, but he wants to catch Piers Morgan on a technicality, which is, by the way, bullshitting. Like, obviously, that, we have right now the justifiable belief is to know that these happen, given that we have so many different reporters confirming that this has happened. Again, not that it's 100%, but the justifiable belief right now is that it's happened. But he wants to jump on that to distract you from the bigger point. Like, Hamas did kill civilians. They RAP'd women. Okay, they massacred people in their homes. Yeah, 200 people. They just came from the sky to a music festival and just committed genocide on innocent civilians that were just dancing and singing. And then instead of addressing that, he was like, "Oh, this last one that you said, like, where did you get that from? Let's guys, nothing to see here. Let's change the discussion. Like, guys, like, forget about all those things that Hamas. Let's talk. Where's the evidence for this last one? This is a very obvious attempt on changing the conversation and putting you on defense. And so you are being questioned something, and you want to change the conversation and put the other person." Make them responsible for answering your questions rather than you answering theirs. This is such a disgusting and dirty little trick. Yeah, go on.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because just to build on that, I'm sure because of the intelligence that Mohammed Hijab has and how strong of an alpha male he is, that Piers will obviously fall for it and be just completely unable to respond. So I'm assuming the rest of this video is just Piers Morgan crying like a baby because Mohammed Hijab just destroyed him. So yeah, a disgusting but clever tactic by Hijab. But again, I don't think Piers will be able to come back from it. So let's see.
Baby who's been charred, and that picture has been put up on Twitter and has been refuted by many people saying that it's actually AI.
That's completely untrue.
That is true. What's your source?
Mohammed,
what's your source?
There's been a thorough investigation into the claim that was put up there by some rogue person on Twitter that it was AI. It has been completely disproven.
Okay, let me ask you
that
a question.
picture, which was published
What's
on
your
the
source?
Telegraph,
What's your source?
Is a genuine,
What's your
legitimate
source?
picture.
What is
Look,
your source?
Are you seriously arguing that
Yes,
babies
yes.
weren't killed?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, what are you saying?
I'm saying, give me a source.
Yeah.
You know full well you've been fired from the Daily Mirror for fake images. So you know full well about the
I didn't accept they were fake.
Exactly. The UK government did.
Yeah, they did.
Aha.
Because the UK government, just to be clear,
Sure.
had waged, in my view, an illegal war in Iraq.
So you're allowed to go against the government,
hang on.
and I'm not allowed to go against the Israeli government.
You're allowed, yes, you're allowed to.
So tell me now, what's the
You
source?
seem to be making a lot of assumptions about me, Mohammed.
Yes,
I was
Real quick. Pause. I'm not going to be able to comment on every little thing because we will never be able to leave. But like, there's so many back-to-back things that I want to point out and analyze because it's so fucking stupid. Like, it's just, he out of nowhere brings up a personal dispute that is going through the courts and has had, you know, is in Piers' personal background, right? He just out of nowhere brings that crap up and then equates Piers Morgan in that scenario with Mohammed Hijab criticizing the Israeli government. It is just so bafflingly stupid. He's supposed to be a good debater, Armin. He's supposed to be somebody who knows how to have these conversations, and that's what he goes with. Absolute idiot. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It gets
I was
bad.
the editor.
Ambassador of
No,
Friend.
they weren't. I put all the questions to the ambassador. I was editor of the Daily Mirror when we opposed the Iraq war
Sure.
on the grounds that I believed it was an illegal war.
Yeah.
I still believe that to this day. I think
Good.
it stained this country.
Fantastic.
I don't think you even knew that.
I did know that.
Right.
But I'm not. That's not the point I was making. I was making the point that if you're allowed to go against a government,
I don't think he did know that. He's lying.
No, he didn't. He
Right.
didn't. You can see it on his face.
Look, yeah.
I think
Good.
it stained this country.
fantastic.
I don't think you even knew that.
I did know that.
Right.
But I'm not, that's not the point I was making. I was making the point that if you're allowed to go against a government in their classification of an image, then if you have pro-Palestinian activists who are saying, actually, we need to see a source, shouldn't they be entitled to
The
that?
Daily Telegraph
There it was. I mean, what source do you want? There was investigative journalism, and he's using that as a source, as a reputable source. I
That's
don't
not good
understand.
enough.
Saying,
That's not good enough. Yeah, that's the source. He's giving you the source.
actually, we need to see a source, shouldn't they be entitled to
The
that?
Daily Telegraph published on page 3.
Should they be
The
entitled to that,
picture
yes
you're
or
talking
no?
about, the Daily
Should they be
Telegraph
entitled to that, yes or
said
no?
they had
He's giving you the source. Well, I mean, understand? Like, you ask for the source and listen to the source. I don't understand.
independent
Are they
on page
entitled to
3.
it or
Should
not,
they be entitled-
Armin? Answer the question.
Yeah, sure, they're entitled to it. Well, then take it. He's giving it to you. Like give me the source. Like, okay, let me give you that. Are you entitled to it? Well, yeah, they're entitled. Sure, they're entitled. Well, listen, you're being given the source, sir. Sir, you're being given the source. Just accept it when you're being given what you're asking
We need
for.
to see a source, shouldn't they be entitled to
The
that?
Daily Telegraph published on page 3.
Should they be
The
entitled to that,
picture
yes
you're
or no?
talking
Well, yeah. Well, let me. Oh my God! Let him answer your first question before you go to another one.
about, the Daily
Should they be
Telegraph
entitled to that, yes or
said
no?
they had independently verified
Should they be
the picture, Mohammed.
No, excuse me.
If you're saying that their
Primary source
verification is
material.
wrong,
No, excuse me. Primary source in academia. I know you've done a job.
Primary source.
It's not good
You
enough,
want-
Armin. Not good
Wait,
enough.
what do you mean primary source? Dude, what the hell are you talking about? Primary source? Like, is he supposed to bring? Does he know what primary source means? Because if you want primary source, Piers Morgan literally has to put the baby's dead body on the table right now in front of you, because everything else will not be like, I don't. Am I wrong about this? That's a primary source.
I truly have no idea what he's thinking in this moment. When I initially watched this, I was laughing so hard at this point that it was difficult for me to breathe. Because
Okay.
I genuinely don't know what he's asking for. He asked for the source
Okay.
of the claim. The source of the claim was given to him. And his response was, that's not good enough. In academia, we need primary sources. To which,
No, you don't.
I mean,
No, sir,
there's-
you don't understand academia.
there's that, A, but then B, my thoughts kind of went to where you went, man, which was just like, does he just want to go to the place in Israel? Is he just asking for a plane ticket? I've genuinely no idea what he wants here.
Okay.
Um,
So the way research is done, okay, you have some primary sources, and people take the primary sources, and based on their expertise, which is not always through academia, like when we have investigative journalism, that's not academia, that's a different kind of institution. But both academia and investigative journalists take primary sources and they analyze it, and they give us their conclusions, and their conclusions is used as secondary sources by other people and is consumed by us who are not the expert. We consume secondary sources. We actually don't, as not experts ourselves, we don't consume primary sources because we don't have the expertise to be able to analyze primary sources, right? That's why we have to appeal to relative authority and expertise. Like if I see primary sources, I don't know what to do with it. I don't think Mohammed Hijab knows what to do with it. We need secondary sources here. We need expert analysis. And I don't know why he's talking about academia here, because that's a different... Yeah, what is it?
This is what Susanna said. It's exactly where you... Excuse me, sir. This happened last week. It hasn't made it through peer review yet. Like, why did he bring up in academia? It doesn't make sense.
That's a completely different process that has nothing to do with this. Academia is, when he says academia, it's like, it's like, okay, detective, what did you think happened here? You're like, I think the murderer stabbed here, and there's blood stains here, and I think then he, based on the footprints, he went out to the store. Like, okay, sir. Has this been peer reviewed? Like, that's what detective, has this claim been peer reviewed? Like,
let's send the crime scene photos a few other people. Let's get their thoughts on it.
What is he talking about? Academia is for something else. What you're asking for here is investigative journalists. That's you need proper journalists.
Okay. So I'm sure Mohammed Hijab is going to keep that standard consistent across all the claims that have been made, because he's focusing on this. He's making it a really big deal. He won't go back on this at any point throughout this interaction. I feel very confident that won't happen. So I've already been proven right so many times today.
This guy is an Oxford graduate, apparently. Okay,
exactly, Armin.
And he doesn't understand the very basics of what institution is for what, and he just thinks like, oh, you know what? He doesn't understand how primary and secondary sources work, and he thinks other people, and he knows other people are as stupid as he is, and he's just correctly relying on people just being impressed by the fact that he just said primary sources. Okay, I think he's relying on the fact that the audience is like, oh, he said, where are your primary sources? Those sound intelligent. I guess he has a point because it sounds intelligent. Exactly. Susanna is saying in the live chat, he ratioed Piers Morgan, making this primary source point again on Twitter because people are idiots, apparently. What are you talking about?
You're not saying that he just spits some things out relying on the fact that his audience won't check. You're not saying that
or
right?
Understand.
Interesting. I hope there's not a really clear point like that at some point in this conversation. I hope that's not the case for him. That would make him look really bad.
Right.
We'll see.
By the way, here's another thing, okay? When he says where are the primary sources, well, if you go study, okay, what the verifiers, what the fact checkers, what the researchers are saying, okay, and what they're publishing, they refer to the primary sources. They will tell you, like, what the source that Piers Morgan is saying. I'm pretty sure if you go study it, it will tell you what were the primary sources and how they analyzed it.
Shoot.
So there you go. That's why we go to the experts, because they take the primary sources into account.
Has that opinion been peer reviewed, Armin? I can't accept it until I can't accept it.
Yeah. Oh, Secular Sakai is saying he makes it very clear that he doesn't believe Western sources. Also, that he refuses to recognize humanity on both the Palestinian and Israeli sides. Right. I mean, Western. I mean, his entire. He keeps saying awkward, but he doesn't like Western things. I don't understand. Oh, by the way, Secular Sakai, thank you so much for the super sticker. It's a hippo going like this. Okay. But yeah, okay. All right, let's continue.
Journalism degree, which is frankly, it's not relevant to what we're talking about here anyway.
Probably is to journalism, yeah.
No, it's not to this conflict, but we.
Oh wait, hold on. Let's say.
Resource in academia. I know you've done a journalism degree, which is frankly, it's not relevant to what we're talking about here anyway.
Oh,
That's exact. Look, he doesn't understand. He says in academia you have a degree in journalism, which is not relevant to what we're talking about here. That's actually the more relevant thing here. This is not academia is for something else, you moron.
Come on.
Oh my God.
Come on. It's not that bad, is it? He doesn't completely refute himself by being on the show, does he? Oh wait. Oh shit.
That's
Yep.
oh my God.
Wow. This is the best, Armin. This is the best. This is the top. This is what exists right now. This is the one that they put forward. When there are so many people that rally around this man and say, he's our champion. He speaks for us. He's intelligent, well-versed, good debater. I mean, just what a massive example of how wrong everyone is who thinks that. My God, this is just one of his worst interactions. I think I said that when I hit you up about this video. I think I was like, this is one of his worst. Like he's okay. It gets even worse. It gets even worse. It's amazing.
Anyway,
Probably is to journalism, yeah.
No, it's not to this conflict, but we academics.
Look, like how calmly Piers Morgan is answering him. He's actually, I know you don't like hearing this, but Piers Morgan is doing a very good job. Like, actually, no, this is more journalism.
He's mopping the floor with him. It is just hilarious. Again, there's so much other stuff going on that would just take hours to analyze, but just the way he's responding, yes, he is so calm. He is so collected. Mohammed Hijab looks like a freaking baby.
Yeah, look
Sure, Mohammed.
No, excuse me.
If you're saying that their verification is wrong.
No, excuse me. Primary source in academia. I know you've done a journalism degree, which is frankly, it's not relevant to what we're talking about here anyway.
Probably is to journalism, yeah.
No, it's not.
Probably it is.
To this
oh
conflict,
my God.
but we.
To this conflict, academic. Okay, my God.
Academics require primary.
Did he just say we academics? Oh my God. Look, the person that doesn't even understands the ABC, he has no understanding of what academia is about. He's like, we academics. He puts himself, look, this is a joke. This is a joke. We academics. Can you believe that? Coming out of, oh my God. Look at
an Oxford graduate.
Which is, frankly,
yeah, listen.
it's not relevant to what we're talking about here anyway.
Probably is to journalism, yeah.
No, it's not to this conflict, but we academics require primary source evidence in order to make.
Look at this. What an idiot. What an idiot. And this is not about Palestinians, guys. This is about Mohammed Hijab thinking so highly of himself and proving to the world that he's such a great, intelligent, academic man. The person who doesn't understand that when there's an attack like this, you don't wait for academics. What would academics do? I don't understand what he's talking about. You don't wait for academics to come out and do a study to figure out what happened at an event. And oh my God, I'm lost for words. Like, how could you be so stupid about academia and have so little knowledge and think you're part of that world at the same time?
I honestly,
I'm lost for words.
Yeah, I don't know what you're upset with here, Armin. I think Mohammed Hijab is representing his side extremely well so far. He is making very cogent points and backing them up with relevant responses. Yeah, I think he's doing wonderful. He is just absolutely,
He's-
yeah.
He's using dead Palestinians to sell to the world how great he is. That's what he's doing.
The whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time. And
Yeah.
also, and again, because I think it's really worth it. It's really worth reminding everyone. Not only is he doing that, but he's doing that very badly. He's doing a really, really bad job of making himself look intelligent. And
Right.
yeah. I don't know, because it makes me feel like I want to say I wish he was doing a better job. You know, that's what's weird about this conversation. I told you before we went live, I was like, I feel weird about this because, like, I kind of like agree with Piers Morgan, and you know that. Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm sure.
The Daily Telegraph said.
Yeah, let's see. How it goes.
We academics require primary source evidence in order to make it.
The Daily Telegraph said. The Daily Telegraph said they verified the picture.
That's a secondary source.
You may say
That's secondary source.
You may say
That's
He keeps saying that's a secondary source. Every single, if you look at research paper, like even in academia, okay, when you're reading a research paper, a lot of the citations are to secondary sources. So first of all, you don't need academia here, right? This is not relevant. But even if it was academia, secondary sources are constantly used as sources in academia.
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah. In fact, they're better because, so here's the thing, like, for example, if you have a research paper, right, that requires the expertise of another academic, right, which you haven't done research on, you don't go find primary sources because you haven't analyzed the primary sources, and you don't have the time or expertise or the background to analyze the primary sources. You cite the secondary sources of people who have analyzed those primary sources.
You know what? You know what this makes me think of, though. It makes me wonder: is Bukhari a primary or secondary source?
Oh! I never thought about that.
What was that chain of
is
narration again? What was that chain of narration again? Huh. I'm sure it was primary. I'm sure it was primary. I must be mistaken.
Wait a second.
I must be mistaken.
You just Mohammed. You're right. Mohammed Hijab just destroyed Islam. More than 90% of what we know about anything that is Islamic comes from hadith narrations. That every single one of them is a secondary source. Mohammed Hijab just nuked Islam. Oh my God, you're
primary
right.
sources only, you guys. You heard it, folks. Primary sources only from the one and only Mohammed Hijab, the champion of Islam. Primary sources only. Throw everything out. That's not primary.
Wow.
It's very important.
Wow. That's such a good point. I didn't even think.
I just want to learn, Armin, you know? Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Mohammed Hijab, for teaching me the proper way to scrutinize.
Right. To destroy Islam, basically. Yeah.
Well, you may say you don't think it's genuine. I don't agree with you. But the wider point...
That was my point.
But
I said I want a source. I just want to see the evidence.
We're arguing about here. You're not contesting that babies were killed.
No, I'm saying I want to see the evidence.
So why are you picking on the semantics of the veracity of one picture, which has been verified by British journalists? Why are you picking on that?
British journalists are
some
not
example
authority.
of somehow this wasn't as bad.
British journalists are not an authority. Okay, so some of them are actually the ones who have the credentials, the credibility, the experience. They have a proven track record of verifying. There are certain parts of journalism, there are certain institutions and people within those institutions that we recognize. Like, you don't even have to accept the entirety of like a media like BBC or The Guardian, but there are certain parts of those institutions that are that their job is fact-finding and verifying information, right? And those parts of those institutions are constantly used as a very reliable source of information because they have a very, very good long track record of being very, very picky about what they use as evidence, right? So given that us, each single one of us can't go actually to Gaza and pick up every single piece of evidence, and we don't even have the experience to know what to do with it, we do have to appeal to credible authority to be able to, given, it's just Occam's razor, right? Given the credibility that they have, it's very fair to appeal to their conclusions. And those are the exact institutions that you need to go to in a situation like this.
I don't know, Armin. Academics like Mohammed Hijab would disagree.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah. You're right. Never mind. Forget everything I said.
Bad as it seems.
British journalists are not an academic authority. You know that full well. You've been fired from Daily Mirror for that very purpose. What I'm saying to you is this: putting this issue to the side, I think you're trying to use it as a red herring to move away from the bigger
red
issues.
herring?
This is a red herring because already 1,023 children have been killed in Gaza. That's why. And you didn't.
Wait, have they? Do you have an academic source for that?
It's got to be primary, Armin. It's got to be primary. It can't be.
Wait, no. How do you know, Mohammed? Wait, he said he just made a claim.
Right.
He just made a claim.
Oh no.
Where's the academic source for that?
Oh shoot.
Does he has an academic source for that?
Oh, dang it.
I mean, the source for that is also journalist. He just made a claim without an academic source.
I'm sorry.
I mean, by the way, for so-called academic source, you need to wait years, by the way. So you just wait for a couple of years before they actually just goes through, peer reviewed and everything. I don't know what you're talking about.
I feel really bad, Armin. I feel like this is the third time I've been so charitable to Mohammed Hijab, thinking that he's going to do the strong alpha male thing and be consistent about his criteria and stuff. And then he goes and he proves me wrong every single time. It's sad. I expected better from him. I really, really did. I expected better.
Does he? I think maybe he does give us an academic source.
Okay.
Again, I'm not saying it. By the way, I'm not saying that didn't happen. Yeah. Okay, I'm just saying because investigative journalists, I believe that these sources. I know there are many good sources out there that verifies that these things happen.
Yeah.
But based on what Mohammed Hijab is saying, we don't know if any Palestinians have. So guys, you cannot. Why are you criticizing IDF? So far, we don't even know if a single Palestinian has died, because we don't have academic sources for
not one
any Palestinian death.
That's Mohammed Hijab standard, folks.
Yes.
Ask the ambassador that question.
I literally asked the ambassador. I said 3,000 people.
Yeah, why does Piers Morgan not say that to him? He just said Palestinian people have died. Piers Morgan said wait a second. He should have said that. He should have wait a second. You asked me for academic sources. Where's your acamic source for that?
Yeah, I mean, he's already doing such a damn good job with this interview. I don't think Piers needed to add any more toppings on top. He's already ruined Mohammed Hijab, in my opinion. But
right,
whatever.
But I think that would have been perfect at this moment.
Yeah,
do you have an academic source for that?
Yeah.
1,023 children have been killed in Gaza. That's why.
Wait, Newman, why are you deleting people's messages here? Can you please don't do that? Newman, if you keep please don't do a heavy moderation on the live chat just because people are using words that you don't like. We don't do heavy moderation on the live chat.
And you didn't ask red herring because already 1,000.
Oh, okay. Susanna is saying it's fine. Okay, it's warranted. Okay, I trust Susanna. Okay, sorry, Newman. Susanna is saying it was warranted.
23 children have been killed in Gaza. That's why. And you didn't ask the ambassador that question.
I literally asked the ambassador. I said 3,000 people have already been killed in a week in Gaza.
Well, you didn't ask her whether she
even listen to my interview with the ambassador.
I did listen, but excuse me.
Well, don't put words in my mouth or say I didn't ask a question.
Let me ask you a question. Do you condemn the killing of those children by the IDF?
I tell you what I condemn.
Yes or no?
I'm going to answer your question honestly and truthfully.
Sure.
And because I've tweeted about this, right?
Oh, okay.
I think that what happened on October the 7th was one of the worst atrocities I have ever had to read about or watch on.
It happens every day in Palestine. No. So why do you care about that?
It happens every day, Armin. Every day.
What are you talking about?
He must have a primary.
What are you talking? Oh, every day in Palestine,
Yeah,
they're killing more than 1,000 civilians
you
and
know about this.
RAPing women
Armin, you must know about this.
and
You've seen
kids.
all the sources, right? You've seen all the sources, like for a while, right? You every day it happens, literally 365, 24/7, every day. You know this.
What is he talking about? I would be upset as a Palestinian. I would I would say stop. I wouldn't even be upset as Hamas. I would you're making, what he's talking, he's such a bad ambassador. You are ruining yourself. This happens every day in Palestine. This is you know why this is beautiful? Because I see this exaggeration by so many Muslims, okay? When they think they're defending Palestine, they just exaggerate. Because here's the thing: life in Gaza is tough, is very, very harsh, okay, and it's horrible, and we have to try to figure out a way to resolve this situation. But by making it sound worse than it is, you are going to make it so much more difficult for people to take their hardships seriously. Their lives are hard, but it's not like 1,000 civilians dying every day. That's not what's happening. People are not being kidnapped. People are not being randomly shot. Women are not just randomly being RAP'd every day. He said, in that, oh my God. Children are not being killed in their homes every day in Palestine. Are you serious?
Are you saying that purposefully misrepresenting the situation hurts the progress of a good cause? Something like helping better the situation and lives for the civilians and people of Palestine. Is that what you're saying? Like purposefully misrepresenting and lying about things like Mohammed Hijab has, it only hurts the Palestinian people. Is that what you're claiming here, Armin?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'd have to agree. I'm sure.
By
he
the way,
doesn't do it anymore.
I just want to highlight, this is beautiful. I like how they just show themselves. Okay. So we have had a person in the live chat that is very upset with our takes, right? And when people get this upset, I kind of suspect the type of person they are, but I didn't say anything. But they just can't help themselves. They just have to look at this, right? So this guy's saying, now do the Jews version, how they say that all Gentiles are their slaves, right? So he was like, first he was trying to criticize us, but now look, he's condemning of all these Jewish people, all the Jewish people, including the one who have been mass executed. He's attributing a belief that some Jewish people have to every single one of them, arguing after they're being mass executed, as if, first of all, even if people have wrong beliefs, they don't deserve to die because of it. Second of all, this is not what all Jewish people believe. And you're generalizing. And then he got really angry. And look at this.
Wow.
This is, should I even read this?
No, I was ignoring the, because their comments earlier were about me and just calling me gay back and forth, and it was like, right, like it doesn't bother me, man. Yeah, right. So now he moved. He called you fake and gay.
But I just want to thank this person for being here.
I know,
because I just want to highlight, because our job is just so easy. You have to see the people who are arguing against us. Look, this is the level. This is how they think. I appreciate you being here and demonstrating what we're dealing here with.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those moments where it's kind of like, thank you, I guess, Didn't have to try. Mohammed Hijab actively wanted to go on the Piers Morgan show and say very stupid, hateful, just stupid things, make himself look like a total jackass. And same thing with this. Like, we didn't have to try. This person decided to spend their day here with us. Which, thanks. Go ahead and like that video for us if you haven't already. But
All right, let's continue with this.
It actually doesn't. It doesn't.
It does actually.
No,
Yes.
no. The Israeli forces.
I've got the stats for that.
Israeli forces do not go.
Cast-led
Wait a minute,
protective
Mohammed.
edge. Go and check it out.
Mohammed. Israeli forces.
Cast-led protective edge.
Israeli forces don't go into Gaza on
Yeah.
one day and grab grandmothers and kill.
Oh, so look, yeah. Let's actually go listen to the whole thing where he said this happens into Palestine every day, and let Piers Morgan finish the examples he gives right next to what he claims.
To read about or watch on.
It happens
videos.
every day in Palestine.
No.
So why do you care about that?
It
so
actually
much?
doesn't. It doesn't.
It does actually.
No.
Yes.
No. The Israeli forces.
I've got the stats for that. if you
Israeli forces do not go.
Cast-led
Wait a minute,
protective
Mohammed.
edge. Go and check it out.
Mohammed. Israeli forces.
Cast-led protective edge.
Israeli forces don't go into Gaza on
Yeah.
one day and grab grandmothers and kill babies in
Wait,
their beds
excuse- okay.
and
No, hold on.
rape and abuse
So,
women.
rape, is there any evidence for that?
It's been multiple reports
No,
in
you're not.
multiple mainstream
Why who?
media publications.
Wait, why? Look at the double standard.
yes.
What you? Oh my God! Is there any sources for that? Yes, there's plenty of sources. By the way, guys, listen to this. Remember how these people come and condemn Hamas at the beginning of the show? They are lying. And then throughout the show, they make excuses for why is he defending? Why is he saying? Is there any evidence for that? Why are you trying? You know, this is accusations against Hamas, not the entirety of Palestinian people. Why are you feeling the need to defend Hamas, even though at the beginning you are acting like you are not pro-Hamas? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It seems like you don't like it when Hamas is being questioned here.
Yeah, and again, it's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird. Why is he just focusing on this? Is he saying that there is good evidence for the kidnapping of grandmothers from their homes? Is he okay with that, but he has a problem with like the rape accusations? I'm confused.
He just doesn't like it when Hamas is being painted so badly, even though he does.
Oh, okay. My fault. I thought the bar, while low, I thought the bar was at least still high enough that we just all outright condemned rape and kidnapping and murder and genocide. And
Yeah.
is that not the case? Did I miss that memo?
Yeah. Apparently.
You can just sit here and deny everything.
No,
right?
I'm not denying anything.
You are.
No, I accept that some civilians have been killed. I do accept this, and I already said
You
I
don't
can-
believe any of the reports that women were raped.
No, I didn't say that. I said that it's still to
Well,
be
do you
verified.
think they were raped?
No, I don't know. It's like the Russell Brand thing. You said we don't know until you see the evidence. So why do you apply two different standards? Okay, so
Oh, I see. So somebody, I get it, Armin. It makes sense. Hang on, I get it now. What Mohammed Hijab is saying is that the situation, you know, on October 7th, right, that day, is kind of similar to like Russell Brand being in entertainment at high levels for like a decade or so, right? And various one-on-one private interactions where some people have accused him of various misdeeds. Now, I don't know much about the situation other than that, y'all. But what Mohammed Hijab is saying is that is analogous to the videos literally being spread by supporters of Hamas making the claim we RAPE'd this person to death. That's the analogous situation. And what Mohammed Hijab is saying as an academic is that we should wait to pass judgment on both situations. That's the consistent thing to do. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
cool.
waited, we got investigative journalists, and they confirmed it, and we believed it. These are the best sources you could have. If you did not, it's just so funny how they are denying such great sources that we have, right? The sources that is other experts and everybody and governments use as reference, and he's
Yeah.
denying that, and they believe the hadith. You know, they believe they're so confident that all the hadith is true, all the Sahih hadith is true, which doesn't even have remotely the same level of standards that he now wants to apply here when it comes to his own beliefs. Yeah.
Wow.
Reported.
When it's Israel, we know they're raped. When it's Russell Brand, you don't know because you're
No,
friend.
it's been reported by legitimate news
When
sources.
it's Israel,
which
you
I
know they're
believe-
raped. But when
which
it's
I
Russell
believe
Brand, you don't
verify
know.
them.
When it's Russell Brand, you
There's
don't know
no
if they're raped.
comparison between Russell Brand and what's happening.
It's the
here.
same thing. It's a rape allegation. Why
It's the same thing, Armin.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
He's
Wow.
it blows my mind how he's popular. If
Why are you
he is this fucking
fake-
stupid on a regular basis, it's the same thing.
He's defending Hamas. It's like, why are you accusing them? Why are you accusing? He's standing up for Hamas. That's what he's doing.
Israel, we know they're raped. When it's Russell Brand, you don't know because you're friend.
No, it's been reported by legitimate news
When
sources.
it's Israel,
which
you
I
know they're
believe-
raped. But when
which
it's
I
Russell
believe
Brand, you don't know.
verified them.
When it's Russell Brand, you don't know
There's
if
no
they're raped.
comparison between Russell Brand and what's happening.
It's the
here.
same thing. It's a rape allegation. Why are you stuttering?
I'm not stuttering.
He's not stuttering.
So
He wasn't stuttering.
So you
Why?
have probably already seen it throughout this video, folks, but that right there, I wanted to wait because I want to show you by how his own stupid, childish standards of what manhood is, he fails repeatedly every fucking time he opens his mouth. He fails by his own stupid standards, okay? So remember, guys, Mohammed Hijab says, if you stutter, you're not a real man. You're scared. That's a problem. You're doing a bad job. Just watch the rest of the video, please. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Okay.
It's amazing.
So we're gonna remember that as a point of reference. Okay. So good. Okay, Elliot. In this point, though, Piers Morgan didn't stutter.
Not
And
one.
it says, and then it says, why are you stuttering? Well, I have a different question. Why are you saying that he's stuttering when he's not stuttering?
Yeah.
Is that like, I think he feels like he's being defeated and he's just trying to act like he's winning because he made the comparison to something that is so not relevant. And I think he just realized how embarrassing his comparison is. So he's like, why are you stuttering? Why are you stuttering? I think he wants to like use this as a show of force. No? Okay.
He's an academic, Armin. He's an
Oh,
academic.
he's academic. But do you see how that was a desperate attempt at saving?
Exactly.
That was a
what's
desperate
happening.
attempt. That's
Yes.
a desperate attempt at saving an embarrassing situation.
Yes.
Why are you stuttering? Like,
Yes.
yeah. Well, listen to.
But when
Which
it's
I
Russell
believe
Brand, you don't know.
verified them.
When it's Russell Brand, you
There's
don't know
no
if they're raped.
comparison between Russell Brand and what's happening.
It's the
here.
same.
It's embarrassing. There's no comparison. This is completely.
I
Russell
believe
Brand, you don't
verified
know.
them.
When it's Russell Brand, you
There's
don't know
no
if they're raped.
comparison between Russell Brand and what's happening.
It's the
here.
same thing. It's a rape allegation.
It's the same thing as rape allegation. He's comparing it. Oh my God! He's comparing
Same thing,
Russell
Armin.
Brand to
It's
Hamas.
the same thing. No, it's
Okay.
the same thing.
Okay.
Why stuttering?
I'm not.
Did you guys hear him start? Like, okay, let me. Maybe I missed it. Hold on, just one more
play it
time.
all.
Hold on.
When it's
No,
Russell Brand, you don't know because you're
no,
friend.
it's been reported by legitimate news
When it's
sources.
Israel,
which
you
I
know they're
believe-
raped. But when
which
it's
I
Russell
believe
Brand, you don't know.
verified them.
When it's Russell Brand, you
There's
don't know
no
if they're raped.
comparison between Russell Brand and what's happening.
It's the
here.
same thing. It's a rape allegation. Why stuttering?
I'm not stuttering.
Why
There was
are
not
you
a
stuttering?
single stutter.
Why are you stuttering? In the fucking sentence, Armin. In the sentence. Piers Morgan.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
He repeats a phrase or two, but that is a common tactic used in live discussion that gets heated where individuals are trying to make their point again in full. Somebody will say something where it stops your point,
Right.
and you go back to the beginning of the point to make it in full. Piers does that, but literally in the sentence, what does our boy Mohammed Hijab do? I just love it. I just love it. It makes me so happy.
By the way, there is no problem with people stuttering.
Oh,
This is just
absolutely.
Mohammed
No.
Hijab. This is just his own. This is just Mohammed Hijab's own standards. We're not saying stuttering is a bad thing,
Absolutely.
but it's just quite ironic. I mean, I know Elliot is saying the same thing, but it's just so ironic that while he's saying why are you stuttering, he stutters saying why you're stuttering. It's just like, I don't know. It's just beautiful. It's just perfect. It's a piece of art, this video. Look at
I
I know
this.
they're raped, but when it's
I
Russell
believe
Brand, you don't
verified
know.
them.
When it's Russell Brand, you
There's
don't know
no
if it's rape.
comparison between Russell Brand and what's happened.
It's the
here.
same thing. It's a rape allegation. Why are you stuttering?
I'm not stuttering.
Oh my God.
You are stuttering.
It's
You don't
You
have
know,
beautiful.
you're
anything to say.
contesting every.
It's absolutely beautiful.
And then he just,
I don't know.
and he keeps, and
why-
this is the
why-
best part. He moves on.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
that's how Piers
Yeah.
Morgan is crushing him. Is that every little time Mohammed Hijab thinks he's like, oh, I got this point, you know, like this is about to just shut him down. Piers is like swatting it away like it's nothing, and just keeps going, and it's just amazing.
It's beautiful.
Just amazing.
every single thing that I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
And I'm
the
saying
point of
to
an
you,
argument.
at the end, 1,300 people
Yeah.
were brutally
2,000 people have
murdered,
been killed on the other side.
abused.
2,000
200
people have
have
been
been
killed.
The 2,000 people who have been killed on the other side is also Hamas's doing, because IDF is trying to kill Hamas without killing the civilians, and Hamas makes it incredibly difficult and impossible. So if 2,000 people have been killed on the other side, that adds to the number of kills by Hamas. It's 1,300 on this side by Hamas, and 2,000 Palestinians on the other side by Hamas.
on the
I
other
said
side.
that to the ambassador.
Okay, but do you condemn that? Yes or no?
I don't think.
Yes, I do condemn it. I do condemn the killing of Palestinians by Hamas.
Yeah,
so you
pretty
refuse
easy.
to condemn.
No.
You do refuse
Why
to
are you
condemn.
putting words in my mouth?
Because you're not condemning it, are you?
What do you want me to condemn?
You're not condemning it, are you? That's stuttering. That's stuttering. Mohammed Hijab, you're stuttering.
Condemn.
Israel's
Okay,
right.
excellent. What do I want you to condemn?
Yes.
I want you to condemn the fact that the IDF, knowing that it's more probable than not, pressing buttons from the sky, killing innocent civilians,
Yeah.
1,000 of them children, that is a war crime and that is not acceptable morally. Just like
I
you condemn
believe-
the other one. Is it condemnable or
I
not?
believe, given the scale of what Hamas did on October the 7th,
Go ahead, say
Israel is entitled
To
to
kill
defend-
children.
No, that's not what I said.
Go ahead.
Oh my God, to kill children as if they are trying to kill children. You freaking moron. You
Yes.
freaking let me make this simple to you guys, okay? Let's say I have an innocent person holding and I have a like a suicide bomb vest tied to me, okay? And I'm inside a market and you have this shot to take me out, right? And you know if you take the shot, you're going to kill this innocent civilian that I'm holding. Are you going to take the shot? Yes. Let's say I have a child. Let's say I have a child in my arm, okay? And I have a suicide vest, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to blow myself up, and it's going to take out this entire market of a lot of people in there around me, okay? You're going to have to take the shot. You take the shot, you know this child is going to die, but you take it anyway. Did you just murder a child? Technically, yes. But is it fair to describe your action as child murder? You're murdering a child. Would you say like, oh, you're saying, Armin, are you saying killing an innocent child is okay? Well, I'm not going to put it in those terms because that's not what happened. The guy had to take the terrorists out, but there was no other way. That is completely so unfair to compare that to somebody that goes actually and looks for children to shoot them. The other side is trying to save children. Anyways, I don't understand. This is so obvious. I don't even know how to why this needs to be explained.
Also, just,
IDF is not targeting children. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, I have no idea why we've had to say that multiple times already, but we do apparently because people just seemingly don't understand that difference. Also, just look at the glee on Mohammed Hijab's face in that moment. That was just really gross. Like, why are you excited for somebody to say that? Like, what's wrong with you, man? Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I am, but they don't even have good examples. Okay, so here's the thing:
Mm.
the IDF, okay, is as diverse as Israel, and Israel is very diverse. I've been to Israel, I've been to Palestine, I talked to many people there. Israeli people, we have many good Israeli people, and we have, crazy, uh, religious nut jobs, right leaning, ethno state, genocide loving nut jobs in Israel. And we have all the way to people who think, like, yeah, we are evil. I know Israeli Jews who think that, oh, we're all evil and Palestinians should come and genocide us. Like, I even met those kind of Israelis. Like, it's weird. There are many good Israelis and there are many bad Israelis. Okay. So Israel is very diverse, just like in most other countries. And the military obviously is not going to be purely good. There are going to be people within the military of Israel that are going to be bad and want to do bad things. And sometimes that happens. And every time we see it, we condemn it, as long as it's verified and proven, right? But so when I say they don't do that, I just want to clarify. I don't say that it means that they never do that. It means that the IDF, that is not the aim of the IDF. Sometimes I know some people within IDF have done things that is morally disgusting, but that
Yes.
doesn't represent the entirety of actions of IDF. And I have better examples of situations where IDF has done something that is disgusting, that's a war crime, and they don't, because they don't care, because they consider IDF defending Israel to be a war crime on itself. So even when they want to give examples, I as a defender of Israel and the right for Israel to defend itself, I can give you better examples of situations where there were people within IDF that have done things that are terrible, but you can't, because you consider everything they do to be evil. But you're going.
No, I think that's another great point, man. Another great point, which
Right.
again, it's just amazing to me that Mohammed Hijab felt good about calling out Piers Morgan, and I guess didn't even try to prepare. Just did no level of work on his part to be on. So maybe he saves it. Maybe he saves it.
We'll see.
They're entitled to defend themselves with force.
Okay,
Then the
excellent.
question becomes, Mohammed,
Okay.
it's an interesting debate.
Sure.
If, as it seems to
Sure.
me, you believe too,
Go on.
Hamas are not a force for good. Do you believe that?
Well, I think that anybody who kills children and those elements of Hamas who are killing children.
Right, so we can
are not-
agree. So we,
Those elements of Hamas. So he doesn't want to condemn the entirety of Hamas. Remember? So did you see that? Did you see what just happened here?
Yeah.
He knows that he would be crucified by his fans and followers. This represents what you just witnessed here. Represents Mohammed Hijab being worried about how that would be perceived by his audience if he condemned Hamas, right? And that shows you Mohammed Hijab knows his audience. And this is the biggest, one of the biggest, if not the biggest English Muslim YouTuber in the world, like an Islamic a channel that is dedicated to teaching Islam and advocating for Islam, right? Mohammed Hijab is either the biggest one or is pretty close. And he is somebody who's an expert in creating shows, and he knows who his audience is. And if this is not a good representation of the standing of Hamas within the Islamic world, I don't know what is.
Armin,
Right?
do you
Yeah.
do you fear that we might lose some fans or followers if we come out real strongly against Hamas and its actions and stuff?
yeah.
Do you feel do you have that fear?
Yeah.
Are you worried about, are you cowardly like that, like a little boy, like a child, not like a man, because a real man would just say their opinions with their chest. Are you afraid like Mohammed Hijab is?
I mean, we lost a lot of our support and followers when I decided to do blasphemy against Hindu gods, when we were getting a lot of far right bigots supporting us because they liked our anti-Islam takes. So yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah. I don't lose any sleep about the thought. Yeah. Hamas is a disgusting organization. Okay. Wow. Yeah. If you're not a fan of that view, that's fine, I guess. Wow. Weird. Guess I'm more of a man than Mohammed Hijab.
Yeah. Newman, thank you for your membership for 15 months. Yeah.
We agree. So,
Go ahead.
Do you hear my puppies barking in the background or no?
Every so often.
No,
It's
you
not.
don't.
It's not bad.
Okay. It's not that big of a deal.
point
Finish
is,
your point.
if Israel's purpose is to rid the world of Hamas after the atrocity of October the 7th, how do they do that, given that Hamas embeds itself in civilian areas?
Okay, real
the way
quick.
that it does? Everyone-
Okay, you say this while I go and see what my puppies are doing. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. It won't take me too long, but I will stretch it out to make sure that you get back. But in the meantime, hey y'all, I'm taking over Atheist Republic. It's my stream now. I'm sorry. No, but seriously, Piers Morgan, folks, just to remind everybody, Piers Morgan has asked Mohammed Hijab a very direct question, a very good question, I think. Says, you have criticized the response from Israel. Oh my gosh, look at that thing. Oh, that's so ridiculous. You knew that would derail this. There's no way we could go further
I'm
without
sorry.
talking. No, look at
I'm
that.
sorry,
It's
I'm sorry.
adorable. Oh my gosh. But yes, Mohammed Hijab has been asked a direct question. What is the better? Oh, look at him yawn. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. We should just, why are we even talking? Let's just let's just put the dog
No,
on.
go ahead.
Sorry. But okay. What Mr. Academic Hijab, what would you do differently about this response from Israel? This is a great question. You disagree with the response. What is the correct response? Yes, look at that thing. It is so cute.
Yeah, we need. I thought we need emotional support at a time like this. Susanna said, "Yeah." All right, let's continue though. Let's continue.
Yeah,
one knows that in Gaza.
Okay.
How do they do that
Excellent.
in this surgically clean way that you seem to think they should be doing?
Okay, can I say
How do you not kill civilians?
Beautiful. Can I
don't like any civilians.
That's a very good question, because we want to see, like, okay, you saying IDF is not doing the right thing. Okay, well,
correct.
They just been attacked. How should we respond? What is
and Mohammed Hijab in the past? Remember, in the video calling out Piers Morgan, he specifically mentioned one thing, and that was full-scale invasion. Is what he said. Go house to house, fight face to face. His words. I'm sure he's going to say that here.
Yeah.
Civilian death.
Do you mind if I answer?
I don't endorse any civilian death.
Well, no.
Do I
don't condemn it though?
Hang on.
Yeah.
No. And here's why. Because I support Israel's right to defend itself.
Beautiful.
Now,
can I say something?
No, one more point. So then you can reply.
Sure.
But the question then becomes, what is proportionate?
Okay.
What is a proportionate response?
Okay.
I don't have the answer.
Excellent.
Because I don't know what a proportionate response to 1,300 murders is. When 260 young people at a music festival, most of them peace-loving people enjoying themselves at a festival, when they get slaughtered by people paragliding in with machine guns, I don't know what the proportionate response is.
Piers, let me respond.
So can you tell me?
Any evidence that 260 people were killed?
Yeah.
That's what
academic sources.
Is there any evidence that 260 people were slaughtered that day? That's what he wants. That's what he wants, y'all.
Oh, really? He questioned that.
He wants to know if just rewind it. Maybe I misheard. Maybe I misheard.
We have verified that. Oh my God. He's just denying.
I could have misheard.
260 young people at a music festival. Most of them peace-loving people enjoying themselves at a festival. When they get slaughtered by people paragliding in with machine guns, I don't know what the proportionate response.
Is there any evidence to all of them were killed? Piers Morgan just said 260 people were slaughtered at a music festival.
Wow.
Is there any evidence that all of them were killed?
He's denying this. Look at
the dead bodies is pretty fucking good evidence.
Oh my God. And for once, we actually we have primary sources, which shows their bodies. Yeah.
When they get slaughtered by people paragliding in with machine guns, I don't know what.
This is so disgusting. We have had the greatest mass execution of Jewish people since World War II, and this disgusting piece of I'm trying not to swear, but this filth is trying to deny that they even happened. Look, if this does not show that these people are anti-Jewish in general, I don't know what does.
What the proportionate response?
Piers, let me respond.
So can you tell me?
You've spoken for about 2 minutes. You didn't do that with the ambassador. By the way, I'm just showing you're saying fair,
That's what he cares
but
about.
you're not being fair.
I've said what I
Okay,
want to say.
so let me paint a picture.
I will be fair.
Okay, sure.
I'm genuinely interested in what
Fine.
you have to
All
say.
right, excellent. You're from Irish descent. We know that there was an IRA
Yes.
in Belfast and so on. Okay, so let me ask you a question now. If there was IRA in Belfast and they were occupying council properties and so on, and then we have a plane of RAF going to destroy that council property, destroy all of Belfast, flatten it, as one representative said, got live. The IDF said that. One of the IDF members said that we will flatten it completely. That's what we want to do. We don't care about accuracy, he said. We care about damage. That's what he said. You didn't question her about that. But anyway, if the RAF were to then go into Belfast and flatten, as the IDF and these guys want to do, if they want to flatten Belfast with all the white people, I'm going to use the term white, all the white people, council estates living in there, with the excuse that we're doing it because it's proportionate defense to the terror.
I keep stuttering, by the way, Hijab.
Oh, the entire time. The
What would you
entire
say
time.
Here's what I would say to you.
Is that acceptable or unacceptable?
Here's what
Real
I would say
quick.
to you.
Yeah.
You remember how earlier you pointed out that you felt as if this wasn't really about the Palestinian people? That Mohammed Hijab didn't really give a damn about them. Didn't really care about their struggles. He has a very limited time on a widely seen platform to speak about their struggles. And he decides to take like 2 whole minutes there just talking about something that has absolutely nothing to do with the problem.
Yeah.
It is absolutely blatant that he does not give a crap. He does not care. He is only interested in people seeing this and becoming a fan, becoming a follower. And I just think that's gross. He's literally profiting off the death of children. That's what he's doing. He's growing his fan base off the death of children, and he's doing it shamelessly. This is the best. This is the best they have to offer. This is the best they have to offer. Absolutely terrible. Terrible.
IRA committed a series of atrocities over numerous decades. They targeted, in their eyes.
By the way, please note that they never answered the question.
No.
What is the appropriate response? They're like, oh, they keep condemning. Like, IDF did this, it's wrong. IDF did this, is wrong.
No answer.
They do not. You know, okay, again, guys, I ask everybody in the live chat, do you know why they never answer? Okay, Hamas just came and killed more than 1,000 Israeli civilians. You're saying what IDF is doing is wrong, okay?
Okay.
What would be the proper response? What would be the proper response? They don't answer. They keep on changing the pivoting to another conversation like, oh, IDF bad, IDF bad. Like, okay, IDF bad, but what would be the proper response? They never answer. Do you know why they never answer what the appropriate response would be to this many Jewish people being mass executed in one day?
No. What? Yeah. Why? I'm confused.
I think they are giving us an answer. I think what they're basically telling you is that you should just take it. What they're telling you is that you should just die. The appropriate response, when they keep not answering this question, that by itself is the answer. Notice how he's not answering the question all the time. Like, okay, what should have IDF done? The answer is nothing. The answer is that we will come to you, we will kill you, and you just deserve that. You deserve that happening to you. And no response will be a good response because you happen to be Jewish. You happen to be occupiers. So we are justified in doing this to you, and you should just do nothing in response.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he'll make it clear. Maybe he will explain his thoughts, Armin. I mean, it's possible. I'm getting less optimistic, but
Mostly.
military and political targets. They usually gave some form of warning, not always.
Okay.
They
They were terrorists.
No, they were terrorists.
Sure.
They never ever went out one day and committed the barbaric slaughter of 1,300.
Irrelevant.
No.
If they did,
I'm sorry.
How is it irrelevant? You just say that they. You just said that they. You just said that they did that. Mohammed Hijab said that that's what happens in Gaza every day, and he's saying, "Well, that doesn't happen," and he says it's irrelevant. How is that irrelevant? You brought it up.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry, it's
If
not
they did,
irrelevant.
if
It's
they
not
did.
No, Mohammed.
If they did.
Here's what.
It's like, what if they did? Okay, so thank you for saying if they did, because they never do that. So thank you for admitting that this does not happen on the other side. So again, Mohammed Hijab here is admitting that the bull crap that he was saying just before is completely wrong, because now he has to say if they did. So it doesn't happen.
Why it's not irrelevant?
Okay.
They never did.
But if they did,
They never did.
would you accept
And by the
the
way-
RAF to fly
By the way,
Belfast?
there were outrages committed by
My question is,
by the
if-
loyalist parliamentaries
Excuse me.
too.
My question is,
Here's my
if
point.
they
They
did,
never
would
came-
you think it's
They
acceptable?
never.
Yeah, okay. So I will play that game with Mohammed Hijab. Okay. If Israelis, okay, if the IDF, okay, sent 1,000 people to Gaza, okay, sent their military to Gaza to just randomly kill 1,000 Palestinian civilians, including children, and REPD them. And then they went back, and Gaza had like a capable military that could come and retaliate. And the IDF soldiers were hiding behind women and children, okay? And they made it impossible for you to do any kind of retaliation without taking civilians. Yes, then I would be like, I'm sorry, but they had to retaliate, and I would say yes. I would say yes. I would say like this is it's tragic, it's disgusting, it's absolutely. If there's any other way, it should be used as an option. But if your enemy is that disgusting, and for you to respond, you have to take out some civilians, then I would support it. You know why I would support it? Because if you do not respond, you're actually going to kill more people, because you're advertising to your enemies that it's open season on us. You have to respond to avoid more people from the other way. People are going to die. Even though this is a very, very disgusting option, is less disgusting than any other options. If IDF does not respond right now after this attack, you are advertising to the millions and millions of Muslims around Israel that it's open season on Jews. And the border, let me just make this point. The border of Israel are like a dam. And this was like a crack that needs to be responded to very, very fast. If this dam cracks open, within less than a few days, you are going to see the greatest bloodbath in human history. You're going to see a genocide greater than what we see in World War II. You have to respond strongly, fast, to show that is not what you think is happening is not happening. Because right after this attack, so many Muslims around the world thought that this is it. This is the time. Israel is weak. We could go for the kill. We could finish this. You have to come back and you have to respond strong, or else you have no idea how fast things could turn. If all of a sudden all these millions of people right around your right around your border, all of a sudden decide to unite and go for it, there will be no force in the world that could stop it.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. And I was just going to remind everybody, in case anybody had forgotten, that as a part of the founding charter of Hamas is like genocide of the Jewish people, right? So it's just,
that's a good point.
When that's a part of your freaking founding documents, that's the situation we're in, and we shouldn't forget that. And just because we're paused, because again, there's so much going on throughout this video, we just could not possibly respond to it all. Did you notice how Mohammed Hijab brought up a difficult conversation, like the troubles in Northern Ireland? And you know, it's a very difficult conversation, very nuanced. Did you notice how Piers Morgan didn't have any freaking trouble, didn't hesitate or stutter at all when condemning both sides for the war crimes and humanitarian atrocities that they committed? He literally did both of that very easily, unprompted even. On the loyalist side. Mohammed Hijab, however, when asked directly if he condemns the atrocities of Hamas, takes the time to mention that he hasn't gotten to speak in 2 minutes. I just think the difference is striking. I just think it's striking.
Yeah, let's go through this a little bit fast with that. Let's faster because we.
I know we've been trying, but it's so bad.
Ever came close to committing an outrage on that scale?
If
right?
they did, is it acceptable?
They
to
never
fly
went
Belfast?
in and kidnapped grandmothers or killed babies
If they
in cribs.
did.
It's a false analogy because that city, in that city, the military is not hiding behind civilians. That's why it's a false analogy.
Is it acceptable or not?
They believe they were fighting for better or worse, and I believe for worse.
Sure,
and that's why I'm glad peace was found.
But I'm
They
asking
believe
if
they were
you're not
fighting
answering my question.
political and military
I'm
targets.
trying to bring it closer to home
But
to
you're
you.
trying to compare apples and oranges.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
It's you that's
The-
doing that.
The only comparison that I would say that we saw from October the 7th and what Hamas did is with ISIS.
Excuse me.
It's the only
Do you
comparison
mind if I?
that
Let
bears
me ask you a
witness.
question. Let me ask you a question. A Palestinian.
And
child-
ISIS were taken
Please
out,
let me
by the way,
finish.
with
You keep interrupting
planes.
me.
No, here's what
You didn't do this with the ambassador.
I'm going to finish
You did this
the
with Ben
point.
Shapiro, which you gave the show to him.
No, hang on. I'm giving you
Gave
plenty
him
of
some-
time.
No, you're not.
I'm giving you plenty. You asked about the analogy of a plane.
He looks so weak. He looks so weak.
Yeah.
He looks
He's-
so weak.
Yeah. Just really quickly because I want to make sure we go forward. He's supposed to be an alpha male, and he's begging to be let to talk. Right? If you are an alpha, like I mean, but these are nonsensical terms, alpha and beta. Just
Right,
but he
right.
believes in it. But if you're
Right.
like a strong man, you're being manhandled by Piers Morgan, and you're just begging him to let you talk. Right?
Right.
You have
We're
you have
using
no
this
way to
language
actually
to
show.
make fun of
Yeah.
Mohammed Hijab.
Yeah, you have no way to actually take control over the conversation yourself. Piers Morgan is able to take control over the conversation, and because he's manhandling you, you have to beg him to let you speak. Like, but you weren't treating the other guy like this. Like, why are you being so unfair to me?
You're gonna let me
speak.
let me
Same time,
talk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Targeted
but you
to
didn't answer my question.
But that did happen, Mohammed, with ISIS.
Would you accept
To get rid of-
Belfast to be flattened
No, wait a minute.
or not? Yes
Wait
or no?
a minute. It never happened. So the like for like
Never
is
happened.
No, it's a
relevant.
hypothesis. It's
No,
hypothetical.
It's not. I don't do hypotheticals.
Oh,
Let's
you
deal
don't do
with,
hypotheticals.
no, let's deal with reality.
Okay, let's deal with reality.
Almin, let me finish. Then you can
You
answer.
don't answer the question.
No, here's the reality.
British public can see this.
Here's the reality,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's his show. He asks the questions.
Let's
British
just.
public can see this.
Yeah, they can see it.
Yeah, go on.
They listen to the debate,
Keep going.
right? For what it's worth, I think it's a good debate to have. Right? These are questions many people on the
It's funny because Piers Morgan is actually controlling the flow of the conversation, and he trying to pretend like it's him that is doing it. So Piers
Yeah.
Morgan is not letting him control it, but he's like, keep going. That's a pretend, like he's attempting to
Mhm.
make it look like I'm actually let him speak. He's stronger than you. He's commanding. He has the full control. But you're acting like he's speaking because you're letting him.
pro-Palestinian side are having. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, right? But you're trying to compare what happened on October the 7th with the IRA.
No, I'm not.
I'm
I used a
comparing- I'm comparing.
hypothetical
Wait a minute, Mum.
question.
I'm comparing it to ISIS.
Look at
Just shut him down so hard. Wait a minute, Mohammed.
yes. You wait, like actually, this is pretty strong. Like, look
Yes.
how calmly,
Yes.
like Mohammed Hijab, because he's not actually a strong person, he thinks like shouting and like talking aggressively means that he's strong. But
Mhm.
Piers Morgan, like I see this guy is like knows what he's doing. He
Mhm.
without actually raising his voice, like this guy's an expert. He managed to overcome him without even raising his voice.
Right.
That was done masterfully. Like
Yes.
people need to take notes.
Mohammed
Look at that.
Hijab
Look at that.
successfully gave every bad take you can on this current conflict in Israel and Palestine and demonstrated exactly the wrong way to control a discussion perfectly the entire time.
But also, I mean, I'm sorry to say, guys, but Piers Morgan seems to be like really knowledgeable in how to control a conversation.
Yes,
Look at this.
He owns
Look how calmly he just walks over him and just shuts down and yelling like a shouting man.
You're trying to compare what happened on October the 7th with the IRA.
No, I'm not.
I use the
hypothetical
wait a minute, Mohammed.
question.
I'm comparing it to ISIS. And the way that the world in the end dealt with ISIS actually was to use airstrikes. And many civilians were killed.
There's a huge difference.
Many innocent people died. They're not.
You don't understand it because you have no idea of the religious.
What's the difference between what happened on October the 7th and ISIS?
The difference between the Palestinian resistance is the following.
So here's something that these people are allergic to. When you compare Hamas to ISIS, he's offended by because they're anti-ISIS, but they're not anti-Hamas. And his followers like Hamas, so he can't go full on anti-Hamas, right? So he's now going to make a comparison in their ideologies as if that matters to us, not, people who are not deluded with religion, right? So they're like, oh, ISIS and Hamas are killing innocent civilians. The results seem to be the same. And people are like, well, like they put the nerdy Islamic mindset on, and they're like, well, they are takfiris and these other ones are not takfiris. You guys don't understand Islam. This is the detail of why ISIS does what it does, and Hamas. It's like they believe in this myth, and they're like, they're not the same because the myth is slightly different between ISIS and Hamas, and they're trying to tell you that as if that matters to you. We're not Muslim. This is all just stories that you guys believe in. We don't care. We just see dead civilians, and that's what matters to us non-Muslims.
I think it helps. I think the context is needed, Armin. I really do. It makes the death of children better, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, any kind of thing which has Palestinian resistance attached to it, and ISIS, which is a brand of takfirism, okay, ISIS is just one of many brands of takfirism, which you don't know.
Like, he's so stupid. Your audience doesn't know what takfiring is. Like, oh, no, you're making a false comparison. They're takfiris, and they're not takfiris. Like, okay, you look who. You have very few, a short amount of time to make your case, and you're using detailed information about Islam that nobody is in the audience. Like, why are you saying that? This is not going to help your case.
Which is a kind of excommunication type heresiological Islamic sect. Okay, so if there's not,
I'm sure this is very much helping your cause, like your arguments that they are takfiris. Okay,
nihilistic mass murder. That's all they care about.
Heresiological Islamic sect. Okay, so if there's
not nihilistic mass murder, that's all they care about.
Listen, I know what you're saying, but I'm saying something else.
You agree with me, don't you?
I do, but of course I do, but you're not understanding what I'm saying, so I'm trying to break it down.
I am understanding what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that anything...
And I'm not anti-Palestinian, by the way.
Sure, please, but...
Over the many years, if you bothered to check what I said about it, I've always tried to shine a light on the plight of the Palestinians.
Allow me to speak, please, because you're just talking over me. The difference between the two are the following, right? Even if we assume that the killing of...
He's insisting on talking about the difference. Like, he's not going to give up. He's like, okay, this is not helping your case. He's like, oh, let me tell you, like, he doesn't understand that this is not relevant to the discussion.
Combatants, in most definitions of terror, the two are the following, right? Even if we assume that...
Here's the similarity that matters in this conversation, okay? Yeah, the similarity is that ISIS agrees that Jewish people are fair game and they should all just, again, I'm not going to say on YouTube, okay? Right. ISIS believes that and Hamas believes that. For this conversation, that's all that matters when it comes to similarities and differences in their ideology.
The killing of combatants
in most
definitions of terrorism is something which brings someone to be a terrorist, okay? I would say that if that is the case, then the state of Israel breaks that threshold and meets that condition. Because why is Israel not a state terrorist?
So he just realized that whole point of takfiring, he didn't finish that because I think he just realized that that's not going to help any of his points.
Ooh.
So he started saying that, and then he was like, why am I even saying, like, he didn't finish that argument because not going to help him.
Uh-huh.
that threshold and meets that condition because Israel is. Why is Israel not a state terror?
So he just dropped the takfiri argument. Like, okay, wait a minute, let's go back to Israel.
He stops dead in the middle.
Right in the middle of making that point.
If their highest officials are admitting that we want to damage and we want damage and not accuracy, why? Answer me this question: why is the state of Israel, who are illegally occupying?
Look, completely changing the subject. First of all, you need a strong response right now. You just got hit in a way that you have never experienced in the history of your country. You need to respond, and you need to respond, and you need to respond big, obviously. And we have already repeated that. But now we know that answer. But now he's going to go to occupied illegally. Which parts are you talking about? Because Israel has the right to be a country, and the existence of the state of Israel is not illegal. The West Bank settlements, that is illegal. We condemn that. But you're talking about the entirety. So look, Mohammed Hijab is if he says the illegal occupation, if he's talking about the entirety of the state of Israel, then he agrees with Hamas. All right? But if he's talking about the West Bank specifically and settlements in West Bank, which is internationally illegal, and we do condemn that, that has nothing to do with whether this attack, this response is justified or not. The fact that Hamas attacked and you need to respond to that is still correct, regardless of whether or not the settlements in the West Bank is illegal.
You don't
That's a
think?
good point, actually.
Yeah, Susanna is saying that's not what a state sponsor of terror means. Officials threatening mass murder, unacceptable, absolutely, but it is still not state sponsoring of terrorism. So just once again, Mohammed Hijab wrong, has no idea what he's talking about.
No. Susanna, he's an academic.
I'm so sorry, I forgot. I'm so sorry.
Academics.
Where did he graduate from? Where did he graduate?
Know your lane, Susanna. Know your lane, Susanna. This is how academics speak about these words. Okay.
He's got primary sources. He's got primary sources.
Yeah.
Illegally occupying Gaza and the West Bank according to international law, and even the ICJ said that. Okay, which is, as you know, an organ of the UN.
Constantly stuttering the entire conversation. The entire conversation stuttering. Again, not that stuttering is bad, okay? But as a person that thinks that you're winning because other people are stuttering, then it's pretty ironic that you're stuttering the entire time.
Yeah.
All right. So this is international law.
Wait, what's international? It's not.
And even the ICJ said that. Okay.
The international law is referring to the settlements in the West Bank, not the existence of Israel as a whole. International law accepts the legality of Israel existing as a country. Okay, so international law does not consider the entirety of Israel to be occupied land and for Israeli citizens to be occupiers. So bullcrap. That is specifically about the West Bank,
who are illegally occupying Gaza and the West Bank according to international law.
Okay, Gaza. No, wait, illegally occupying Gaza? They're not occupying the Gaza.
Are you sure?
They decided to leave Gaza when the international community was like, yeah, actually Israel used its military to remove Jewish people out of Gaza by force. Because they were trying to abide by international law, and because the world promised them that if this happens, it will result in peace. And they're like, okay. The Israeli government went into Gaza and removed all the Jewish people there by force. And what happened was that the radicalism intensified and attacks grew on Israel. It didn't work.
Okay.
Yeah.
The ICJ said that. Okay. Which is, as you know, an organ of the UN. All right. So this is international law. They're occupying, they're seizing, they're bombarding, they're indiscriminately killing, and they're blocking the supply lines. They're using white phosphorus. They're doing what you call.
Okay, each one of this is bullcrap. Okay, so let's do. I'm sorry, I have to go answer each one of them. Okay?
they're occupying.
Occupying, yes, West Bank illegal. Gaza, they removed it because they give into international law. It didn't work. So unfortunately, a lot of people say like, well, given that didn't work, why we should do the West Bank
They're
one,
seizing,
right?
they're bombarding.
Seizing what? Well, you have to be more specific. I don't know which seizing you're talking about, but yep,
all kinds of
which
seizing. You know, just
all
all
kinds of seizing. Yep, they're seizing the flow of material and resources coming into Gaza that Hamas uses to, takes away from building hospitals and schools and other infrastructure and into use it to building rockets and missiles and other military to kill Jewish people, not to save Palestine, but to just for the actual purpose of committing genocide on Jewish people. Yeah, they're seizing resources that comes to. In fact, our criticism to Israel is that they didn't seize enough, because our criticism is to people like Netanyahu, not the entirety of the state of Israel, who on purpose allowed money going into Gaza because they knew it wasn't going to be used on infrastructure and people and the well-being of Palestinians, because they knew Hamas is going to use it to strengthen itself, because Netanyahu, like Hamas, was trying to work against the building of the creation of a Palestinian state. So if you have any criticism for the seizures, you have to ask, why wasn't it not done completely? Why was all these bags of money, which is literally, I'm not using this metaphorically, literally bags of money was allowed to move into Gaza by Netanyahu so that Hamas could get stronger compared to Fatah in the West Bank.
Are you
Right.
criticizing some of the actors in the Israeli government, Armin, or some of the actions done by the Israeli government? Are you doing that? Because that would make. I thought you were a full-on Zionist shill. Are you not? Are you
I'm
still
sorry.
being paid by Mossad? Is that not happening?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I forgot that I'm supposed to have like a tribal mindset and everything is black and white. My bad. I thought okay.
Well, I hope our
and...
CEO, I hope the wonderful, incredible CEO here would not criticize any politicians or any of the actions that they've caused in this whole thing of Israel, because then all those people who claim that we never criticize Israel and stuff would just be wrong, right? That would be a shame. Oh, hey, Susanna said, yo, Netanyahu has so much blood on his hand, it's mind-boggling. Oh, wow. Huh.
Yeah.
Look at well, we never criticize Israel. We've never once. Never once.
Yeah.
Bombarding, they're indiscriminately killing.
Killing, they're not just, they're defending Israel, they're responding to an attack on their civilians. Okay.
And they're blocking the supply lines. They're using white phosphorus.
They're blocking the supply. They should block them better, given that actually, how come they fail? Here's another criticism: they failed at blocking. How did all these missiles get to Gaza? Right? How did all these equipment? How did all this like paragliders, all these missiles? I wonder why they are blocking Gaza. I wonder, maybe after the attack, we could see why they kind of had to do all of these blockings. Maybe it was justified. Yeah. I don't know.
It's hard to know.
They're doing what you call mowing the grass, which is every.
Oh, and the white phosphorus. Okay, the white phosphorus has been denied. They denied that they used it in Gaza. Okay, they say they didn't deny using it in Lebanon. In Lebanon, again, that's not a residential area, so that's allowed to be used there. In Gaza, it's not a crime. It's not against international laws to use it in a residential area. But again, it's looked down upon by some human rights organizations, right? So just some
in Lebanon, I'm sorry, I just forgot. It wiped out of my memory here. Who is Israel engaged? Is Israel engaged in conflict? Who are they engaged in conflict with in Lebanon? It's civilian? It's crowded area? No, who is it? It's
Hezbollah. It's Hezbollah.
Oh, an Iranian-backed terrorist organization with a goal of exterminating the Jewish people. Okay, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
No, not saying that using white phosphorus is good because of that. I just want to make sure that we're all very clear on the
Right.
times in which Mohammed Hijab seemingly is supporting terrorist organizations who
Yeah.
want genocide.
And by the way, if it ever is proven that they're using white phosphorus in Gaza itself, we will say that that's condemn that. But again, that's not against it. That's not a war crime, but it's condemnable.
You can't even condemn it though, Armin, because you're not sticking to you're supposed to be pro-Israel without ever criticizing them. You can't do that.
I'm sorry, I'm not doing my Zionist shell thing properly.
We'll never get that.
Every few years, they're killing the Palestinian people.
Let me
why I want to understand what differentiates an Israeli in the sky pressing a button, killing the civilians, from somebody in any terrorist organization shooting the people. What differentiates
Israel?
One is a defense. One is an initiation of a mass execution of innocent people. One is a response. Easy peasy.
We'll say.
Yeah, I was going to say the intention of the people doing the thing you're talking about. I don't think that's difficult. That's a really stupid question from a very small man.
That's dumb.
A terrorist organization shooting the people. What differentiates it?
Israel will say it has a right to defend itself.
So will the terrorists? Right? That's what Osama bin Laden said.
Okay, so will the terrorists. Oh my God! Look at the false analogy. So did the terrorists. Yeah, Hamas was defending itself by killing children and innocent civilians. How is that defending yourself?
That's exactly Osama bin Laden's argument.
No, it's not though.
Yes, Hamas, it is. I read his fatwas. Hamas
aren't defending them.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're idiots. Like, I understand, like, oh, that's what they say. Oh, okay, yeah, well, they're full of crap.
Yeah, and
just because they say it, that doesn't mean it's correct. When IDF is saying that we are defending ourselves, well, they are actually defending themselves. When Hamas is saying, like, oh, yeah, we are RAPing women because that's our defending, we're defending ourselves. Yeah, they are making the same claim, but one of it makes sense and the other one doesn't.
Right. And look how proud he is to like offer that narrative from Hamas, and also seemingly really proud to be like, oh, I read Osama bin Laden's fatwas. Yeah, a bunch of times, man. Like, it's just that's like when somebody says like they read Mein Kampf and they're real proud of it. It's like, why are you so excited about that, man? That's just odd to me. It just, like I said, there's so much stuff to analyze here, but
yeah. Well, let's continue.
Themselves. Bin Laden wasn't defending himself.
Define defense.
Bin Laden was trying to kill as many of the enemy as possible.
Let me ask you a question. How could it be that an occupier is defending itself in the first place? The notion.
They're an occupier.
See, this is what is it? What is it called when you make a point and then you switch it halfway through? Is it like
equivocation?
Which is that? Equivocation. Yeah, I always have a hard time pronouncing that one. Because when he was talking about illegal occupation, he mentioned the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. Now, look what happened. Israel is not defending itself because you're the occupier. You see how he just in the middle of the conversation extended that illegal occupation to the entirety of Israel itself. And then now Israel cannot even defend itself. Anything Israel does cannot be described as defense, because as an occupier, your entire existence is an attack. I wasn't exaggerating when I was saying that they just want you to just take it and die.
Yep.
They just want you to not respond at all. Because he just here admitted that any form of response cannot be described as defense as long as Israel is doing it. Because this, I think it's obvious now. He thinks he's against the existence of Israel because he just called the entirety of the existence as occupiers, as illegal. And this is from a guy who thinks he understands international law. Well, that international law does not agree with that. that international law accepts the existence of Israel as a nation state. And every nation state, including Israel, has the right to defend itself. So
Yeah.
look at the double standard. He keeps talking about international law, but he doesn't even accept international law. He doesn't even submit to international law. So why are you keep using international law as a way, a very bad understanding that you have of international law, as a way to keep condemning Israel when you don't even agree with it, when you don't even submit to it?
I have a thought. I might be able to give an answer to that question, Armin.
So normally in this situation, I offer up the potential that the individual is uneducated. But as we all know, Mohammed Hijab went to Oxford.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's
So
academic.
the other option I tend to offer in this situation is purposeful dishonesty. Either a lack of intelligence or purposeful dishonesty. Mohammed Hijab can
Right.
pick whichever he likes, but he went to Oxford. So
notion that Israel is defending itself is as absurd as the notion that the rapist is defending itself from the victim. Because Israel,
it's the same situation.
Which is
You hear
what-
that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, but it is the exact same situation that happened on the other side.
Oh,
Like, he's using, like, it's so weird. He's using an example that, as you pointed out, is a false analogy, but from the other side, it's not even an analogy. It's not even an analogy because it's a literal thing that happened.
oops. I'm sure he did it on purpose. He must have some really good response here. He must have some really good response. He's too smart otherwise.
Oh, we got a super chat. You want to read this one?
Yeah, from
Thank you,
EV, $10. Thank you so much. People I knew lost their lives at the rave, and I felt very isolated because of the way the media and the left are covering it. Thank you for having a reasonable perspective on this situation. Thank you, Evie,
Oh,
and I'm so
thank you.
terribly sorry
Thank
about
you.
that. It's absolutely
Thank you.
atrocious and disgusting, and again, in all of this, people are getting pushed over because people like Mohammed Hijab want to sell themselves and be a celebrity, and this tragic stuff isn't being taken seriously. It's frustrating. We also got $6.99 Canadian from Andy Kroll saying this academic Cuban garbage is easier to take if you imagine him wearing assess chaps table dancing. Okay. Assless chaps. I'm assuming they were trying assless chaps table dancing. Yeah, that is true. That is true.
absurd as the notion that the rapist is defending
Oh,
itself
wait.
from the victim.
Susanna saying, I'm so sorry for your loss, Evie. I can't even imagine how that must feel. Please reach out to good people in your life. This must be so hard. Thank you, Susanna.
But defending B, that an occupier is defending itself in the first place. The notion that Israel is defending itself is as absurd as the notion that the rapist is defending itself from the victim.
You keep in mind that he's saying that when Hamas initiated the attack.
Yeah, literally.
How could this be any farther from what he's saying? I don't even know. This man is disgusting.
Israel is the occupier.
You haven't asked
hold
me.
on, hold on.
But when I say these people support Hamas ideology and they're not being fully honest with you, this is when the mask slips, because he's basically saying everything that they do is justified because Israel is the occupier. Yeah. They are against the existence of Israel. He's saying basically nothing that you do to Israel can be considered a crime because they're the occupiers.
Right.
It's all justified. Right. That's what he's saying. It's all justified because they are the occupiers. Again, denying the very international laws that he was trying to use against Israel.
Because Israel is the occupier.
You haven't asked me.
Hold on.
But
excuse me, let me finish. Just let me finish. An occupier by international law definition.
By international law definition, which is not how you're supposed to say that, by international law definition, Israel is not the occupier. Israel is a legitimate nation state.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what are you talking about, Mr. Academic?
Means that they are already in an offensive posture. If they're in an offensive posture,
No.
if someone brings you to Piers Morgan, grabs you by the thing, throws you into your bathroom, yeah? You're in your bathroom, you're screaming, and they're eating
You get to go apparently RAP his wife because he did that to you, apparently.
food, having a good time. One day you come out of your bathroom, you try and fight one of them, who's defending who from who?
Mohammed,
Who is self-defense? How can you self-defend? when you're
Completely
occupied?
analogous
Answer me this question.
situations, folks. Completely analogous situations, and a measured and proportionate response in both scenarios. Okay, right? You see here, he's offering a scenario where somebody has been kidnapped and RAP'd for a while now, locked in a place against their will. That person who's been RAP'd coming out and fighting and even potentially killing the same individual who did those things to them. Okay, that's on one side of the equation, and the other side is the October 7th Hamas attack in Israel. That's what he's comparing. Go ahead and tell me that those are the same. Go ahead.
So Animation is saying, isn't there an occupation on the West Bank? Yeah, that's what we're saying. We agree that the West Bank is illegal. He is very, like a weasel, mentioned that and is now attributing that to the entirety of Israel.
Correct.
Right? And even though West Bank, the occupation of West Bank, we agree that is a crime, based on international laws, that does not justify this attack at all. At all. Like, it's obvious. Like, why do we even need to say that?
Yeah.
And Tesla, yes, I will. We already made a show about this, Tesla, and we're going to release it very soon. So don't worry about it. We dedicated the show to this.
Speak now.
But answer the question.
Let me speak.
Answer the question first.
Fine, I'm going to speak.
Yeah.
Let me answer.
Yeah.
I believe that Israel's made a number of bad choices.
That's not answering my question.
Wait, I'm telling you what I think.
You're not answering my question.
Telling you what I think.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. I don't think
He's performing so poorly. I'm not even going to say why anymore. It's so obvious.
It's one of his worst performances. It's one of his worst performances.
And it's so obvious that he's just trying to look strong.
Israel's been perfect at all. Right?
You should have had the moral high ground.
I think a lot of the decisions Israel's taken are wrong. I think Benjamin Netanyahu, by the way, his attempts to usurp the power of the Supreme Court this year in Israel has been a complete disaster.
Do you condemn them from killing civilians or not?
I do not. I will defend them this week.
Yes or no?
Wait.
Yes or no?
I will defend them this week in defending themselves against one of the worst terror attacks ever.
So you can kill civilians for that?
You can talk.
They're not killing civilians. They're trying to kill Hamas. Hamas is hiding behind civilians. Guys, don't let anyone get away with that. When you say so they can kill civilians, that way of describing it makes it seem like they're going and finding civilians and killing them as retaliation. That is not what's happening here. They're trying to kill the Hamas. Hamas is hiding behind civilians.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, Susanna.
Target Hamas.
Can you target? No, hold on.
And if Hamas, the controlling, governing, ruling body in Gaza, hide amongst the public,
this is a false.
Members of the public will die.
You're talking about fallacies. This is called the Moat Bailey fallacy, which is that you're trying to defend one controversial idea by using another.
Okay, pause it real quick. Pause it real quick. Well, okay, no, hang on. Play it just a second more. He says something great after this. Go ahead.
Members of the public will die.
You're talking about fallacies. This is called the Moat Bailey fallacy. Which is that you're trying to defend one controversial idea by using another. It's Mott and Bailey fallacy. You can check it up on your own time. The point is, I'm not asking.
Pause. I just wanted to point this out because I thought this was really great. This is one of those moments where he absolutely makes himself look like a complete asshole. And here's why. Because with a quick Google search, you can find the Mott and Bailey fallacy, Armin. Let me just go ahead and read real quick, just in case you're wondering. Because what Mohammed Hijab said the Mott and Bailey fallacy is when you take one controversial point and swap it out for another controversial point. The Mott and Bailey fallacy, named after the Mott and Bailey Castle, is a form of argument and an informal fallacy where an arguer conflates two positions that share similarities. One modest and easy to defend, the Mott, and one much more controversial and harder to defend, the Bailey. So he's flat wrong. He's flat wrong, people. He's flat wrong confidently. There you go.
But no, but he's the academic. He's the academic. So I don't know what you're talking about. You just shut up.
I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. I don't know how I can even continue. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Asking you whether it's
I mean, has he gotten anything right?
No!
He doesn't understand.
No!
He doesn't understand how academia works. He doesn't understand how primary sources and secondary sources work. He doesn't understand fallacies. He doesn't understand international law.
Everything he has confidently asserted has been demonstrably wrong in a matter of 5 or 6 seconds on Google. It's that bad. It's that bad.
And he's the best, by the way, for the Islamic world to offer, by the way, as a way to defend Islam and apparently Palestinians. I cry for Palestinians. I seriously do, because I want Palestinians to have good lives.
Right.
And these are their advocates.
This guy is going to continue to make Palestinian lives worse. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Israel has a right to defend itself. We've already said of the logical and legal impossibility. The logical and legal impossibility of an occupying power, according to international law, of actually defending itself, because it's already. Let me finish. It's already in an offensive posture. Now, I'm saying this: if it is the case, you're just saying it's defending itself against Hamas. Is the only way to defend itself against Hamas by dropping bombs in the most densely populated?
Reminder again that they never tell you what the proper response is, because as he said, the proper response is no response because they're occupiers. He's literally advocating, without saying it, for Jewish people to just take it and die. That's the only the only solution that he's leaving left is that. He's telling you that. They are asking Mohammed Hijab, if you actually understand what he's saying, he is advocating for genocide. That's what he's doing.
Only way to defend itself against Hamas by dropping bombs in the
Well, tell us the alternative.
most densely populated area. Way to defend itself against Hamas by dropping bombs in the most densely populated area.
Densely populated, not so much, because IDF is trying to make it not densely populated when they attack. IDF asks people to leave this area. So look how dishonest he is. He is like the IDF gives time to the Palestinians to leave the area so less civilians die. Hamas is the one that blocks it so that they remain densely populated, because Hamas wants Palestinians to die. Because Israel and the IDF care more about Palestinian lives than Hamas. You're so dishonest. How many times has the IDF called into a building, told people to leave the building before they leave? How many times did IDF did a bomb above the building for the people in the building to know that they have to leave before they attack? How many times did people say, 24 hours is not enough? IDF told people in northern Gaza to move towards the south so that they're not there when the bombing is happening. People said 24 hours is too long. This is ethnic cleansing. And what happened? IDF waited 48 hours and now even longer. So where are all those people who said, oh my God, this is a war crime, 24 hours is not enough? Are they now going to come and say, oh, thank you for giving us more time? No, they're all disappeared.
Yeah, Lone Drow was asking, and this was the comment from earlier in the stream. Lone Drow was asking, how do we know this, Armin? How do we know that the IDF actually has these intentions of trying to minimize civilian casualties? And I think he did a pretty good job of explaining.
I think I already answered. Yeah, I think I already answered that. Yeah, okay.
One of the most densely populated areas in the world. Is that the only way? It's a false dichotomy, creating a false dichotomy. They could do surgery, they can do surgery.
It's not a false. I mean, what's the false dichotomy? Die means two. Well, what's the alternative? Why are you not mentioning the other one?
He's getting ready to say something. Let's see if he says it. Let's see if he says it, y'all. We've been waiting this whole stream. Maybe he'll say it.
I think he doesn't understand how false dichotomy works, right? You're saying false dichotomy means like as if we are representing as if there's only two options. Okay, so Mohammed Hijab, you are the one who's telling us that the only option that is on the table is not legit. If it's a dichotomy, tell us what the other one is that you're offering as a solution.
There is in the world. Is that the only way?
Not like, yeah. So let's say there's not a false dichotomy. Let's say there's option 1 and option 2. If we just say there's only two options, okay, it's a false. If there are option 3, 4, and 5, and we're denying that they exist, but they do exist, he's right. We are doing a fallacy called false dichotomy, right? But what they're doing is that they're giving us the only option that is being used right now. They're not even providing a second option, let alone 3, 4, and 5. So we are way behind. Like what you're doing is not even a false dichotomy because we haven't even moved to number 2.
It's a false dichotomy. You're creating a false dichotomy. They could do surgery. They can do insurrection. They can do.
Oh, okay. Never mind. He says they can't do surgical. He says they can't do surgical.
Let's see if he finishes. Let's see if he finishes the point.
Because that is such an insane. Okay, so I spoke too soon.
Full-scale invasion.
Giving a.
That's what he's advocating.
The only way. It's a false dichotomy. You're creating a false dichotomy. They could do surgery. They can do insurrection. They can go in and they can target.
We're going to take a short break.
They can go in. He's okay. There we go, people. There we go. Mohammed Hijab, the Zionist, is advocating live on air. We showed you live on air that he's advocating for the occupation of Gaza by the IDF.
Thank you, folks.
Okay.
Thank you, folks. I was worried it wasn't going to happen. Wasn't going to happen. I'm glad because Armin and I don't look, guys, we want to be charitable. We want to give him time to express his thoughts. And after almost 20 minutes being asked directly and repeatedly, he finally gives an answer. Right. What the IDF should have done. And it's full-scale invasion. Full-scale invasion and occupation of Gaza. That is Mohammed Hijab's response.
Okay. Well, I have good news for Mohammed Hijab. That might happen. That probably will happen. Okay.
Seems to be.
But you have to understand that you can't just go in. So this is what Hamas wants. Hamas wants for IDF soldiers to come within the city, within Gaza. Because all the advantages that IDF has will become less of an advantage in a city environment, in a residential environment, right? So it's going to be so much easier for Hamas to take out IDF soldiers because they will have so much advantage. They have underground tunnels, they have the little alleys, they have windows, and IDF soldiers cannot differentiate between who's Hamas and who's not Hamas, but the Hamas soldiers can easily identify who's an IDF soldiers. So that's why this is a trap. This is like the reason why, and this is the reason why Hamas, when they went into Israel, they made it as gruesome as as possible, and they recorded it and they streamed it and they posted it. A lot of people are like, why would Hamas do that? Wouldn't that not make the world turn against them? This is very graphic and disgusting. But the point is that they don't understand that terrorists have to terrorize. That the whole point is to terrorize. And Hamas has learned that no matter how disgusting of an action it does, it seems like the world will still condemn Israel. So the world has trained Hamas that, yeah, you could do the most vile, disgusting things possible, and there will still be a lot of Muslims and a lot of leftists defending you. So, of course, why? But releasing these videos, even though they're horrific, is going to terrorize and it's going to require a response. So they want, what Hamas wants is for IDF to come to Gaza. The whole thing was designed to get IDF to come to Gaza, right? But that still doesn't mean that IDF shouldn't respond, because IDF has no choice but to respond. But given that this whole thing is designed to take IDF soldiers to come to Gaza, and where they will be like sitting ducks, right? It will be so much easier to take them out, because Hamas cannot take IDF soldiers on Israel. They have to bring them in their own territory to make it a lot easier for them. But given that this is what the whole point is, you have to take something. You have to do some actions before you send your soldiers there, or else you are betraying your soldiers. You are just sending them there to die. So when we say they need to flatten some areas, the reason why they need to flatten it is not because this is revenge, we're going to flatten you. It's because if you don't flatten some areas, your soldiers are you're just sending your soldiers in there to die.
Ducks.
You have you have to create an areas where they're not building standing, where they could move in. Unfortunately, but the only thing you could do is to get the people out of there before you take out these buildings. And that's what IDF has tried to do, and what Hamas has tried to stop from happening, so that when these buildings go down, they go down with people in them. That's what you have to understand. Yeah.
But Armin, if that's true, that kind of seems like Hamas doesn't care about Palestinians.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Maybe
Actually, I'm going to keep you here. I want to finish this. I want to give you the time. I think it's an important debate, an important conversation.
Sure. Well, you have to answer my questions.
I will. We'll come back. Yeah, but actually, you have to answer mine. It's my show, actually.
Boom.
I can answer
for the record.
That's a good response.
You can ask as many questions as you want, but I'll tell you what I think.
I've answered all your questions.
We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back and we're going to finish with a few more minutes, okay?
You didn't answer his questions. He didn't answer his question. You actually avoided a lot of the questions.
Yep.
Welcome back to Piers that says, well, Mohammed Hijab is still with me. Mohammed, we've had a lively debate. I knew it would be a lively debate. This is a very important issue.
He looks so defeated.
It's a passionate issue. People on both sides. If I tweet about anything, doesn't matter what I say. One side, if I'm even remotely sympathetic to them, the other side, poor abuse, and vice versa, and so on. Let's try and cut through it all and get to what happens here. How do we find peace in the Middle East? I've been covering.
Good question, Piers. Good question.
Maybe
let's cut through all of this.
Yeah. Maybe by getting rid of Islam, I think that would help.
I've been a journalist 3 decades, and it seems to me we're as far away now as we've ever been. How do you think we get
You'll
to a
be
place?
surprised. Look, even Hamas, some 4 or 5 years ago, they even agreed to the 1967 lines, the borders.
Which this is such dishonesty. This is such a dishonest take. They themselves said that even if we agree temporarily with some agreements, it's not because we agree with them. It's a necessary evil that we might have to agree until we destroy the entirety of Israel.
Oh, there it is.
They admitted that. They admitted that.
Okay.
And what you have to understand.
By the way, again, a lot of defending of Hamas for a person who made it seem like he's not defending Hamas.
It's
right?
weird.
Like you saw,
it's strange.
He didn't condemn Hamas. He didn't
strange.
maybe there's part of Hamas that I condemn, but he didn't want to. And he constantly defended them. So again, remember, guys, when they say they want to defend Palestine, what they mean by that is that they want to defend genocide and they want to defend Hamas, right? So unfortunately, the word Palestine is actually doesn't mean Palestine. A lot of people who have the flag of Palestine, who say that they stand with Palestine to them means genocide, right? And this is such a disservice to the Palestinian people who have these people all around the world actually making it very, very difficult for Palestine to eventually become a country.
Now, hang on real quick, Armin, just to be clear, just to be extra super clear so that nobody can throw criticism. Are you saying that everybody that's supporting Palestine is in that boat?
No, just these garbage people.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think that clears it up.
Yeah.
Lines.
Good thing you asked me.
And what you have to understand that this cannot be scapegoated.
By the way, look at this. Hold on.
Surprise. Look, even Hamas, some 4 or 5 years ago, they even agreed to the 1967 line.
Okay, if you agree with that line, okay, which is complete bullcrap, they want to kill every single Jew that there is, right? But if you agree with that line, that means they're not the occupiers. That means the recognition of the state of Israel. Is Mohammed Hijab recognizing Israel as a nation state? Because if he is, he's going to lose 99% of his audience. I mean, why don't you say it? Mohammed Hijab, if you want to recognize that, are you willing to say to your audience that I recognize Israel as a nation state? Because your career will be over if you say that.
And what you have to understand, that this cannot be scapegoated on Hamas, because before Hamas's existence, this was still going on. This was going on before Israel's existence.
But do you believe in a two-state solution?
Yeah, it was going on before Israel's existence. There was anti-Jewish sentiments more than 2,000 years old. I agree with that. I agree. Finally, he said something. Yeah, the massacre, the attempts of removing Jewish people completely from the face of earth is older than the whole Israel-Palestine issue. He finally said something that is true.
What's that saying about broken clocks being right twice a day or something? Right.
This was still going on. This was going on before Israel's existence.
But do you believe in a two-state solution?
No, I believe in.
Oh, look, that's a good. Piers
doesn't
identify.
No, I don't believe in a two-state.
I don't understand.
He says
he wants to go to the 1967 borders, and he doesn't understand. That's a contradiction. That is a Mohammed Hijab. That's a contradiction. If you want to go back to the 19, this shows that going back to those borders is a temporary measure until the full-on invasion and the genocide on Jewish people. Because they're like, oh, let's go back to those borders. So do you accept a Jewish state to exist? Like, no. Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying that.
Before Israel's existence.
But do you believe in a two-state solution?
No, I believe in.
No.
Look, even Hamas was proposing a two-state solution.
But do you believe in it?
Look, there's advantages in this.
Ooh, see?
Is that not ridiculous? Is that not insane, you all? This is multiple times he has been directly asked questions that are clear,
right,
and unambiguous, and he refuses to give an answer.
I want people to understand the reason why he can't say yes to that is because to his followers and supporters, he would have to recognize the Israel as a state, as a nation state. That's why he can't agree to that. Right?
That's how
and
disgusting
that's why
he is.
That's how Islam stops peace, guys.
Yep.
This is how Islam stops peace. Because you as a Muslim cannot say that you accept the two-state solution, because that means one of these two states has to be Israel. So that means that you are accepting Israel to exist. And you cannot say that as a serious Muslim and not lose all your followers.
Boom.
And that's the only thing that we have as an option. And they don't agree with that. They can't have that.
Look, even Hamas was proposing a two-state solution.
But do you believe in it?
Look, there's advantages and disadvantages. This is a different. I don't know. I mean, it's a difficult one. I'll be honest.
Here's the thing.
It's a difficult
this is
one, Armin.
No, and imagine you don't hear "I don't know" from Mohammed Hijab that often, right? See what situation? We in Persian we call this a saw. Okay, we call this a saw, right? Because it's like a saw that has been shoved up your ass, and you can't leave it in.
Oh my god!
And you can't push it in, and you can't leave it out. Take it out, okay?
Okay.
So we call this as a saw situation. It's okay. It's just it's a saw, right? So this is a saw. This is a saw. So he knows that this is the only option for peace, but he cannot endorse it because the only way to peace is to endorse Israel, to accept Israel to exist as a state.
Could you imagine two states next to each other living in peace? Palestine, Israel.
Look, it's a possibility. I mean, as I say, even Hamas was saying that that's a possibility.
See, so he's such a weasel. He doesn't want to say yes. He wants to say everything, but say yes, I would like that. You're like, oh, even Hamas this and that. Oh, it's a possibility. But he would not come and say that, yes, that would be a good option to have, because he knows what that would mean to his audience.
Yeah. I mean, this was 4 years ago.
I want to bring to your attention.
Yeah, so basically means you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. But I like the Persian.
No, it's
I
way
like the
better.
Persian version.
Yeah, it's much more explanatory in my opinion.
Yeah.
even Hamas was saying that that's a possibility. I mean, this was 4 years ago. But what I want to bring to your attention is that nothing can happen if the international body or the UN becomes a toothless agency. In
That's the problem.
2018
There
to
you go.
19, when
Yeah, sure.
actually 221 people were killed on a peaceful protest in Gaza. It was called the Great March of Gaza. 220 people, it's what people died. Hamas didn't shoot a bullet. No rocket was launched. Yeah. So 220 people died.
Avoiding the question, by the way, entirely.
Oh, entirely.
Right?
Just
Never answered.
completely.
Never answered the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
And this is even mentioned by the UN and these kind of agencies. They
By the way, reminder that he stuttered the entire time. Like he even managed to stutter more than me. Like I don't know how he does that, but on the show that he's calling somebody from stuttering, he ended up stuttering every single minute of the show. He stuttered.
Let Piers Morgan redirect the conversation. Let Piers Morgan talk over him. All the things that he claims is exactly what an alpha male wouldn't do. He did every single one of those things, looking like the exact beta he is. Again, Armin and I don't believe in any of that stupid nonsense. We just like to use it against people like this because they suck so much. So
tried to bring it up, the Palestinian Authority, they tried to bring this up to what we call the ICJ, which is part of the UN. Okay, what happened is the Donald Trump administration they threatened to freeze the assets of the ICJ, which tells you the following: what are the Palestinian people to do? Because the fact of the matter is, if they try and bring it up,
let me ask you.
Let me finish the point. Let me finish the point. If they try.
By the way, Hamas themselves. Here's the thing: the reason why Netanyahu unfortunately supported Hamas because they correctly recognized that Hamas was against the two-state solution, and Netanyahu is also against the two-state solution.
Right.
So Netanyahu and Hamas are allies in this together, right? So this is complete dishonesty. Everybody knows that Hamas does not want the two-state solution, and the reason why they also so big and powerful, and people, including Netanyahu and the Islamic Republic of Iran, funds them, is exactly for that reason, because they're a barrier to peace. They're a barrier to the two-state solution. They're a curse upon the Palestinian people, right? So if you're pro-Palestinian, you have to be anti-Hamas.
Try and bring it
We're
up.
running out of time. That's why I'm jumping in.
But if they try and bring it up to international law, it's thwarted.
I do think
If they try and do boycotts,
international law matters.
Sure.
I just don't believe that any peace can be achieved with Hamas in charge. Do you?
Before Hamas.
Now, after what happened last weekend.
Forget about last weekend. Last weekend is.
Can't forget about last weekend.
forget about last
Forget
weekend.
about last weekend.
it.
I'm so glad. You know what, Piers
Forget about
Morgan, really quick, good response. Forget about last weekend. How about you shut the fuck up? Forget about last weekend. Never. Never, Mohammed Hijab. Never. Forget. Look how disgusting. This was the worst line that he had. I couldn't believe it. This is the worst line he had during this entire show. Forget the last weekend. How about no?
Yeah. If you really wanted a clear example that Mohammed Hijab didn't give a shit about the slaughter of Jewish individuals, there it is. Honestly, the mask has slipped fully at this point. He's telling you exactly how he feels.
These are the people who act like they have the moral high ground.
Yep.
We had the greatest mass execution of the greatest number of Jewish people since World War II. And he's saying, forget about it. This is how they value people's lives.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Okay. No, it's mass.
Now, after what happened last weekend.
Forget about last weekend. Last weekend is.
Can't forget about last weekend.
No, it's not. Before last weekend, before Hamas in 1987, this was still.
Really good, quick response, but I'm glad Piers Morgan noticed that. Like that shouldn't have been.
No,
and just real quick, I want to point out, he doesn't say it explicitly, but it does bring up the question because he keeps going back to it. He says, "Forget about last weekend. Think about all the stuff that happened beforehand that the Israelis did." Is Mohammed Hijab saying that the attack by Hamas was justified based on the previous actions of the Israeli government? I just want a clear answer, Mohammed, because it sounds like that's what you're saying. It sounds like the kidnap of 200 individuals, the slaughter of 260 at a music festival that was justified, in your opinion. That's what it sounds like you're saying. So,
Right.
don't know.
Hamas.
Now,
there was-
after what happened last weekend.
forget about last weekend. Last weekend is
Can't forget about last weekend.
no, it's not before last weekend. Before Hamas in 1987, this was still going on.
But not on this scale. And
Worse.
No, it wasn't
was
as bad
worse.
What are
as
you
this.
talking about?
What happened on
Bull crap.
Sorry, that shows ignorance
was
of
the
history.
single worst assault on a populace
Yom
since
Kippur?
9/11. It
No,
was.
Yom Kippur War was 2,600 people died, by the way. 1973. That's false.
In one day.
In one day, I don't know, about 600 people died in one day.
Mohammed,
Ariel Sharon said
I've got to leave it there. We've run out of time. I gave
Wait, the war that the enemies of Israel were responsible for that. What are you talking about? They were not. Israel was not the aggressor. I mean, they. If you actually go look at what happened, they were the ones who were initiating the fight, and it was stopped by Israel.
in one day, I don't know, about 600 people died in one day.
Mohammed,
Ariel Sharon said
I've got to leave it there. We've run
They don't have a single example of anything like this happening from the other side. Not a single
out of
one.
time. I gave you more time than I planned to. I hope you appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, that was a disaster.
That was ridiculous. We went a little
Yeah.
long, folks, but it was worth it, I think, honestly, because that was such a horrible display on so many levels. Yeah, such an absolute horrible display by Mohammed Hijab. Supposedly the best. Remember that, folks. That's the best. That's the top. That is the cream of the frickin' crop. Mohammed Hijab. Just absolutely absurd. A man who, again, just want to point this out because I think it's really worth it, seemingly is justifying the October 7th attack by Hamas, seemingly saying that that was correct, also seemingly saying that he wants a full-scale ground invasion of Gaza by the IDF. Just would love...
Zionist Mohammed Hijab. Yeah. By the way, I agree with that. Just need to make sure they clear a couple of areas before they send their soldiers in. So yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, don't worry, Mohammed Hijab. I agree with that as well. Full scale invasion, because this is going to be a very difficult operation if it started. So I don't know when it's going to start, but they have to go into every single apartment. Every single. It's I don't even know how massively complicated this operation is going to be.
The
but
logistics are going to be insane. They're going to be absolutely insane on so many levels.
Yeah.
So because just even moving the supplies that the IDF will need will just be absurd.
Yeah. Guys. Yeah, so Zayd is saying thank you guys so much. It's good to hear common sense. Yeah, guys, we don't seem to have a lot of that these days online. So please support us by liking the video and leaving a comment, because there's so many horrible takes online. And if you want voices like ours to become just a little bit louder, please support us by liking and leaving a comment and subscribing and sharing our videos. Tell people this is the proper take. We have good takes here. Tell them, share the link to this stream and tell them to subscribe to our channel. Help us get a little bit louder.
And I just want to jump on top of that and say, because Armin is 100% correct. And also, folks, if you really, really like what's going on here and you really want to make sure, you just want to ensure that you keep getting this phenomenal content, well, there is a really great and easy way to do it. In the description, there is a link to PayPal and Patreon and so forth. We are trying to get, what is it? It's $10 a month PayPal donors. This is totally doable. We've already made good progress. We have already got, over a dozen, I think, is where we're at. You guys can absolutely help keep all of this secure financially by just donating a little. If you can, if you are financially stable yourself, please do it. It means a lot to us. Because we come here for y'all. Like we put ourselves through that garbage for y'all. It hurt. We're a little bit dumber, but it was worth it.
No, I think we were good. All right, guys. I also added the donate function to this YouTube video as well. So yeah, so you could do that if you want, and no pressure. Just liking and subscribing also Very helpful. Anyway, guys, see you again maybe next week with Elliot here. Probably it's going to be on Israel and Palestine as well, because this is important to talk about. So if you want to see that, make sure you hit subscribe and also the bell notification. Until then, bye. Wait, assalamu alaikum.
Can't forget that.